we approach 90 seconds to go before the start of the first fleet race of the day. We're also happy to be joined by the 5th member of our broadcast team, a 3-time America's Cup winner and the driver for the Black Foils, Peter Burley, as he waits for their boat to be repaired. Pete, good to have you with us. I know you'd rather be out there on the water, but what's your takeaway on a spot there where you won a gold medal on?
Yeah, looks like a really tricky day, super light wind, and yeah, the way the course is configured as well, it's going to be a pretty early drive to get straight to that lay line for the gate. So yeah, the start line, super critical. 1 minute to go now, they're already set up, jostling for position, so excited to watch it.
So 12 now becomes 11 as we approach 1 minute to go before the start of race 1. And now the dance begins. This is the calm before the chaos here in South America. For the first time, SailGP has come to Rio.
Well, look at that. Right-hand side of screen's our start line, the red line there. That will turn white when we're good to go. Rockwall and Australia are so early back here. They're going to absolutely have to park the boat. Left-hand side of screen, we just saw going out of view there was Artemis and Emirates Great Britain. Totally different strategy here. They're looking to wind it up and come slingshotting round late. I think there's enough breeze to foil if you can get the timing right here. Artemis, will they be able to find a gap? Emirates GBR, I don't see where they're going to fit right now. Let's see how this one plays out. Rockwall, Denmark, they're controlling things. No room to accelerate. Switzerland has the Rolex pole predictor, but that's very optimistic for me. I don't see a gap. Artemis, let's have a look at this. I love it from Outeridge. He's got it up and foiling. 9 seconds to go. I'm watching Artemis come into the line here. All the boats look early to me. North Star are going to be over early. Artemis, perfect by Outeridge at the bottom of the line. He's going to blast away and lead the fleet here.
And Italy.
So the Canadians and the Italians get hit,
GBR,
and it leaves Nathan Outeridge on a straight shot to mark number 1.
Oh, North Star are going to put some dirty, disturbed wind on top of North Star there. It's going to be painful potentially for the Artemis team, but they should still hopefully hang on in second. It's going to be Los Gallos fastest at Mark 1, looking to roll over the top of the Swedish.
Nice. Happy down, Joe. Down.
So at mark number 1, it is Artemis Racing. It's out in front. They've got the inside line. Los Gallos on the right-hand side. Third place belongs to US SailGP.
Yeah, early move away there by Artemis, Todd. Los Gallos, bit of patience. It's good to see. If either of these two teams can stick this first foiling manoeuvre, huge, great move by Artemis. They lead. They look pretty well set up towards gate 2 here.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to lay straight through. I mean, awesome start by both of them, mate. Hanging out the back, pretty punchy by the Spanish through a small gap at the top, and definitely paying off dividends now.
Pete, you've done that maneuver several times when you were racing. You start in the back and you come screaming through. How many times have you thought to yourself, oh no, I've left it too late, there's no gap for me here, and then you find a way to get in?
Well, generally when you start your run, you're still not quite sure where you're going. But you've got to be a long way behind like they were here and actually able to get up on the foil, get a big speed delta, and then pick your gap from there as they open up late. But yeah, they both picked a good one, that's for sure.
Interesting here. I can hear the voice of Chris Draper on the wing trim, and I felt that was an error not having him on in the light winds when we were racing down in Sydney, but that means Dave Gilmore, this is pretty much his first day on flight control, so big learning curve for him out there, Pete. I mean, that's pretty impressive to jump into that role out of no experience.
It seems to be going just fine, though. Looked a little wobbly around the bottom mark, but yeah. Definitely the right end of the fleet at the moment.
Yeah, and I think you're just trying to keep things simple, Hannah, aren't you? Early on in the race, with as soon as you're out in front, if you win, great, whatever, but what you want to avoid doing is getting yourself drawn back into the pack, and extra manoeuvres, I feel, can make that happen.
Yeah, I think in these really light conditions, you have to get ahead early because, as we can see, all the boats really favouring that left turn. So if you end up kind of queuing up to get around that mark, then it can be really difficult to catch up. I think we can see a bit of sea state rolling through as well, so super tricky for the flight controllers in these light conditions as well.
Right now, though, it is Spain. It has moved in front of Artemis. They sit in first. Artemis sits in second. Then you have DS Team France, US SailGP, and then the Australians rounding out your top 5.
Yeah, the Swedish just manoeuvred back through the fleet, and that disturbed wind will have moved down the course, so potentially they'll make a loss early on and they'll start to gain further up the leg. Lisa, the whole fleet really has taken a left turn at the bottom. I mean, I guess they're keeping it simple, but are you seeing a big wind gain that way?
No, I think it was all because they were on ley line, so not doing an extra move, it was super critical, but definitely where Artemis is heading right now, that there's this beautiful amount of breeze, that's where I am, so they're looking quite strong. However, where Los Gallos are, because they're sitting a little bit further up, they've still got the controlling position.
So the Spanish sit in first place. Los Gallos newly purchased this week. That was the big news in SailGP. They've been purchased. Now they sit in second, going back and forth with Artemis France now on third. DS Team France back on the line after their collision. Good to have Quentin Delapierre and team back on the water.
Yeah, crucial manoeuvre here for Artemis. They won't have the right of way after this manoeuvre, so they're going to have their eyes on Los Gaios right now. They've fallen off the foils, but I think in this kind of breeze, you're optimistic. Here we go. Spain, they have the right of way. They look to manoeuvre inside. We can see they're trying to get to that mark there, and they're going to be looking to go for a right turn on that potentially. Good move by Los Gaios. They cut the corner, but Artemis are foiling. Time to make some big gains for the Swedish team. So interesting here, isn't it, Pete, how, you know, you've got Los Gaios suddenly going to be sailing at a way different angle. So if you're on board Artemis, you've got a tricky choice to make.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see whether they make it over the top. I mean, Spain's just sailing in that H1 mode just to cut down the manoeuvres and make that right turn. But no, it looks like Artemis has had a blinder there, getting it up on the foil and making that roll, and see if it pays off dividends later on.
So it's Nathan Outteridge and Artemis out in front. They are foiling right now. It looks like they're heading for that right-hand mark. Remember, we're halfway through. This is race number 1, scheduled for 4 races today, and we're halfway through this race on leg number 3.
Todd, it's tight in the pack, but look at the Todd of middle of our screen. Emirates GBR are still heading into gate 2, and they've not foiled. I feel there's a problem on that British boat or something. This is pretty unusual for defending champions. You see how tight it is in the pack there. North Star Canada, they've got a real point to prove this weekend. Giles Scott, of course, won a gold medal here in Rio. So many of the sailors. I mean, we got a Rio gold medalist sat with us as it happens. They seem to be 10 a penny.
Now, I reckon my prediction from yesterday's actually had a blinder of a beat here at the moment with the US foiling into that right turn. I mean, they're the only ones that are going to be foiling around the top by the looks. Oh, they've tacked leeward. Spoke too soon.
There you go, right on top of the Spanish. So Taylor Canfield will pick up a position. The Americans, the winners of the last event, just a few weeks ago at the KPMG Sydney Sail Grand Prix, they won it. Emirates GBR finished in second. Los Gaios Spain finished in third.
Yeah, I think what you'll find, Pete, is sat in this booth, you have an incredible amount of control over them doing the opposite to what you suggest.
I'm not confident here in this.
Yeah, it looks like something's going to happen, and then you end up scratching your head, don't you? They must be seeing a lot of breeze out on that side where they're heading on the left, and you can see Artemis foiling away down the run now.
I'm only seeing it on the There's a little something right in the bow. If it's a header, we might be okay.
It looks like it's gone from sort of a strategical race to more of a race of execution. Just you can see some of that sea state just rolling through there, making it really critical with that wing trim and the flight controller working in sync together to make sure the boat can take off as early as possible.
I think an interesting one for this weekend, Todd. We mentioned Dave Gilmore, but the French team who were just on our screen a moment ago, they've actually brought in what seems to be the SailGP super sub, Glenn Ashby, and you can just see in these tricky sea state, Hannah mentioned that earlier, look how much the boats are kind of moving up and down on our screen without even getting up on the foil. How hard is it when you've got that? It's almost like being on a bumpy road in a sports car, Pete.
Yeah, well, definitely a big day for the wing trimmers. You know, right at that bottom end of the breeze where you're trying to keep H1, really take those opportunities to take off. And yeah, Lenny doing an awesome job there with Liv grinding for them as well. So 2 subs from the usual lineup on the French, and yeah, great to see them get off the line and off to a good start in race 1 so far.
Leg 4 of 6 here, race number 1. We're scheduled for 4. We've got some breaking news down on the water concerning Emirates GBR. Let's check in with Lisa Darmanin.
Pointed it out.
Yeah, so the British team, they've just been having trouble with their
for me.
Doesn't feel like I have much, Michael.
overall leaders.
Crashed on me.
All right, thank you, Lisa. So it is Emirates GBR that has to retire. Stevie, you called it. They were the back of the boat. They weren't able to get the boat up and fully at all, and that is not like the overall leaders. Emirates GBR currently sitting in first place after 3 events on 28 points.
Yeah, no, I don't want to sound like too much of a geek.
Too late.
Sadly, I am. They've had a terrible first race at every event this year. So if there is any team that can come back from that, it should be Emirates GBR. But yeah, we hope they can get that foil system working a bit better. Lovely mark rounded by Artemis. And when we're on that overhead shot, look how light it's gone at the top. Bond's flying ruse. Slingsby got some serious feedback on his Instagram over the week, but he's now back, foiling fast. And here we go. Let's have a look, Sweden. Well, they're just out in front. Often, as soon as you're in the lead, you've got more wind, you've got more horsepower, you can just be fast. But here we go. Look at the speed difference between foiling and not.
Yeah, awesome run there for Artemis, wasn't it? They've really cleared it out and got a sizable lead now. But yeah, the Australians doing a great job to come through from the mid-pack into second right now, and it's been obviously a tough run so far for those boats in the middle of the fleet.
In less than 2 legs, the Bond's Flying Ruse have gone from 5th place, now sit in 2nd place. Steve, you don't think they're going to be able to track down Artemis, but they are having a great run.
No, and as I say, we talk, you're accumulating points.
Right.
So if you can get a second, that's a brilliant start to a race like this. You see how changeable it is. I think the interesting thing I heard there was I heard Tom Slingsby say, how did the right turn go for boats in the first leg? Now, he won't be talking to people on the boat, will he, Pete?
Yeah, I think that's a comment aimed at the booth. So you definitely get a lot of feedback from most people have 2 or 3 people sitting in the booths, kind of keeping an eye on the data, just tracking the other boats. I'm sure that'll be a comment towards Bull and in the booth, and their coaching staff, giving him some good feedback. And obviously got the positive feedback, taking that right turn now, and we'll see how it works out.
This is not a huge surprise, seeing Artemis out in front. They've had some great success throughout the year. They currently sit in 6th place overall. New team, SailGP, seated on 15 points right now. Just 1 point, I should say, out of a top 5. And Nathan Outridge is no stranger to these conditions, Stevie. He is a master, also known as the Wind Whisperer. He's got a huge lead right now, and he just wants to nurse this home. Just 1 leg to go, and he's into the finish line.
Yeah, I think they should win. I do feel, I've always felt all season, I think there's some fantastic wing trimmers and sailors in this fleet, absolutely no doubt. I feel when it goes light, Chris Draper's top draw. He's got really delicate feel on the boat. You could see them just gliding the boat up into the breeze there. They didn't have Draper on in the light 4-up position due to the nationality rules. Pete might be able to give us a bit of insight into that at some point, but I felt that was a mistake in Sydney, you know, and I think they've kind of changed it. Draper's on, they're winning.
Yeah, no, with the nationality rules, you've got to run 50% at least national. So yeah, that means Dave's got to be on board, and they've obviously swapped over now.
And there is your Emirates winning moment here on day number 1 of the Enel Rio Sail Grand Prix in Guanabara Bay, and it's Artemis that strikes first.
Huge result. Disappointing for them in Sydney. They're back. Another disappointing one in Sydney was the Bonds Flying Rouge, but Slingsby absolutely on fire on that downwind leg, as you said, Todd, who really picked his way through the fleet. It's just opportunity all over this race course. So I think, you know, if anyone is in the coach's booth, you've got to be saying, you know, there is a lot of opportunity on this course. It's not over till it's over. Look at this, Rockwall and North Star. We said in the pre-show, pressure is on those 2 teams.
These 2 above,
on the software there.
which is a bubble below this.
Trying to figure out where to go. Where are we going here?
Tom's finished a few races in his day, so I think he can figure out how to get across that line, and he will finish in 2nd place. So Tom Slingsby claims a 2nd.
I think it was interesting to see. We see these amazing graphics there. You know, there isn't someone out there painting lines on the water. You know, the sailors don't see the pitch like we do, and you've got to sort of keep that virtual world in your head, Pete, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. And you do get a little graphic on your screen, but every now and then it's just a little bit confusing as to the finish marks look a lot like the start marks. So
we got a little bit of drama possibly brewing here. You've got DS Team France and Los Gallos Spain coming on very fast, much faster than the U.S. team, as the Americans try to hold on to this 3rd place finish. Taylor Canfield, they're going to nurse this thing home. Can they get up on the foils? Yes, they can.
Yeah, they hit that magic number, didn't they? Did a great job finding through. Here we go. They're trying to find out where that finish line is as well. But yeah, the United States.
Go down here, stand by
a little bit of feedback on the trimming there from Taylor. Got that job done. You saw the front sail get let out a little bit. If you sheet the front sail, it's called the jib, a little bit too tight, you just stop the airflow around the wing, and you're effectively minimising potential power out there. Los Gallos, France. So 4th for France, 5th for Los Gallos. You'd take that, wouldn't you? Top 5, top 6, first race of the regatta, you're into it.
Yeah, I think Los Gallos will be a little bit disappointed after that run, you know, so close to leading at Mark 1, such a good first speed, and then, you know, dropping those 3 boats down that first proper downwind to drop back to 5th. But yeah, like you say, getting a solid score on the board in race 1's always nice, and just build into the regatta from there.
It'll be Eric Postgard and Heil steering in. Germany Deutsche Bank, they will claim a top 6 position, and then Red Bull Italy, Phil Robertson back at the helm, doing a great job bringing the Italians across for Jimmy Spithill's squad.
So there's an instant happening. We were going to go back to it. I'm sure now we see Red Bull Italy cross the line, and we can see there. Rockwall, they drove it like they stole it around the outside of North Star Canada. If they can stay on the foils, they'll get through. But these are 3 teams that really would hope to be challenging mid-fleet, top of the fleet, before season 6 got underway, and they're struggling to find form right now.
Looks like Rockwell Denmark is just going to hold off the Swiss. They come to the line, and maybe not, And they will just get that 8th place finish. It'll be the Swiss finishing 9th. Canada will finish in 10th. Now the boats are getting themselves into position, and the pre-start 1 minute away from the start of race number 2 as we get you ready. Todd Harris, Stevie Morrison, Hannah Diamond, Lisa Darmanin, and Peter Burling on the call. And once again, we have to report that Brazil is still not out there, so they will get the 5 points, Stevie, from race number 1 and 5 more points on this one because they are unable to go. But there's still a chance they can get out there for at least 1 or 2 of the races here. Remember, we're scheduled for 4.
Yeah, technical team are working hard. It's important to see the boats working perfectly.
Right.
There's just a telemetry issue. That's why the umpires are giving them points. They're not racing for a safety issue.
I can't handle it.
Just watch the Swiss coming in behind.
So now the stance begins here as they get in position. 20 seconds to go before the start of race 2 here in Rio.
Yeah, Rolex pole predictor, that star set up on the North Star Canada, but I think they're quite early back to the line to be able to foil Artemis. They're coming around the outside again, a bit too early for a foiling start for Outridge. I think he's going to struggle to kill the time. We're looking for the line to turn white. It's going to be a blanket start here. Oh, it's perfect again by Artemis. Los Gallos somehow thread the needle at the top of the line. The Spanish are going to be coming in fast at Mark 1 from here.
Yeah, I think the big difference this one, it's breeze has gone right a little bit, sort of so windward end of the line, so much more favoured. So you can see that super fast angle for the Spanish and the Americans coming over the top.
At mark number 1, the good news is Los Gallos out in front, US SailGP in second. Emirates GBR is back on the line, but they pick up a penalty right away, Stevie, so they kind of put themselves on the back foot. But how about this, the Rolex sprint leader going the way of the Spanish.
Yeah, that's right. Pretty slick start there. And with this wind shift, it should mean they can manoeuvre pretty early after Mark 1. You can see there, Artemis had a brilliant start, but as Pete said, a bit of a slow angle into Mark 1. So they've dropped down off the foils, but they could be well lined up for gate 2 here. Los Gallos should disappear down the road. Look how tight it in the pack. How tense is that first jibe, Pete?
Los Gallos is going to be gone here. They're the only ones left on the foil. Maybe one of these boats at the back can pull it off, but no, it's going to be amazing. I suppose that pressure of pulling off that first manoeuvre, and you know if you stick it, you're just getting so far ahead. So, yeah, right now you'll see all the boats just sitting in the bad air of that first downwind. You know, like super tight reach, right-hand shift just means you're driving going straight back through the bad air.
You can cross if you want.
Pete, for the people watching at home, we always talk about spotting pressure out in the water. They can see the ripples on the water. Stevie likes to say the ripples on the rosé. But is the same go for the disturbed air? Do you see it coming as far as who's in front of you at the angle they have on you, and you know it's coming?
With the disturbed air, you don't see it so much, but you get a pretty good understanding of where it's going to be. And also your coaches have some software that can tell you where it is. So, you know, this race you see someone like Germany there get a terrible start, but be the first one to kind of get above that bad air from the reach. So it's you know, full invert on the reach. Oh, sorry, on the first run.
So at gate number 2, the DP World Gate, it is Los Gallos, the champions of season 4. They are out in front. It is Artemis, the winners of the first race of the day, sitting second. And what a recovery, Stevie, by Germany Deutsche Bank. A terrible start, and somehow they found themselves in the top 3.
Yeah, I think you've got a lot of control over your decision making if you're first. Ironically, when you're last, you've actually suddenly got a bit more control over your decision making as well, because a lot of the carnage is out in front of you, and you can see, you know, where are the parked cars, where's the traffic jam, and how am I going to find my way through it? And Germany's done a great job of avoiding the traffic.
Hannah, at this point, I've got to think that Emirates GBR is not panicking, but they certainly do not want to end up where they were in the first race. They've got to pick up some points.
No, that's right. And I think they might have had some technical difficulties in that first race, meaning they had to pull out. So I'm sure that's all fixed now. But, you know, the races are ticking by. They need to be climbing back up the fleet as soon as possible.
Pete, we say this a lot on the broadcast. You can usually have one bad race per regatta. You can't have 2.
On board?
Yeah, I mean, it's getting trickier and trickier now with more boats. How many bad races or how bad the races can be. You know, I think the big difference now is if you're right at the back, you're better off doing what GBR did there and actually getting out of the race, getting the boat fixed. You know the last 2 or 3 boats are getting 0 points anyway, so you're better off getting it fixed, making sure you're well prepared for the next race. So I think definitely the right call trying to do that, and you can see them in the mid-pack fighting it out hard at the moment.
DS Team France, Stevie, in the back of the pack right now, as is Rockwell, Denmark, as is Switzerland.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard again. As soon as you're at the back, you've run out of options. You're on plan B, C, D, E, G really, really quickly, and you've got no control over your decisions is the main problem. You might see that there's good wind there, but we're racing the best sailors in the world, so they're going to see that as well. So it gets very hard for you. I think for Emirates GBR, what they do fantastically is they execute solid manoeuvres. Right. Hannah said it's an execution day. She'll be looking at the numbers, I know that for sure. That'll be their opportunity. Germany here, though, they're going pretty good angle right now. Might not be going as fast, but they're minimising the distance they're sailing.
I see them.
Eric Kosgartenheil, the driver for Germany Deutsche Bank, won an Olympic medal on these waters. Back when Pete Burling was winning a gold medal on these waters. So right now it is Spain on top. Germany sits in second. Artemis sits in third, and US SailGP in fourth, with Emirates GBR doing a great job, now sitting top 5.
Keep it simple, stupid. That's the key in a lot of these boats, is how you execute those manoeuvres really well. Lisa, I think we've got you back on the water right now. It's a really tight race in the middle of the pack, but it just feels those boats in the lead have just got so much opportunity to jump away from the fleet.
All right, we'll keep trying to get back with Lisa Darmana down on the water. Meanwhile, they kept approaching gate number 3. It is still Spain, Germany, Sweden, USA, and Australia top 5.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Sweden can pull off this jibe. So they're taking the favoured gate on that right turn to the top, obviously foiling around it, but super close to the boundary. So they'll be straight into a jibe where you've seen Spain and both Germany take that left turn to the top and then be foiling away. So yeah, it could be big gains here by Artemis, but definitely taking them more risk.
Leg 4 of 6 in race number 2. We'll go down one more time, down in the water. Lisa Darmana, what are you seeing? Where's the favorite side of the course?
Yeah, definitely the side where Los Galos is definitely where...
If you want, you can lower.
It's 1 sec.
Apologies again, having some issues with the signal on Lisa's pack, so we will get back to the racing action. Stevie, what do you got?
Well, I can just see middle of our screen Artemis there. They're showing a second, but they're off the foils right now. Germany and Spain, way off to the right-hand side of our screen, have managed to get foiling, and they've jumped away from the fleet. We should say Pete Burling's actually come in today with his black foil software, so he's able to give us an insight into the racing like we've never seen in the commentary booth before. He's seeing where the disturbed wind is, he's seeing the optimum course, but right now in the pack it's opportunity aplenty. Artemis up and foiling again. It's never over till it's over with Nathan Outteridge. He's got the right of way. Deutsche Bank Germany will dip behind. They should have an advantage when they get down to the next gate. Can Artemis stick this manoeuvre? Pressure on Dave Gilmore. He's been the MVP out there today. First day on the roll of flight control. Can he stick the manoeuvre?
No worries.
Marks out of 10 for that one, Pete.
Not bad, nice and steady. I think Germany's on lay, so I think they're going to get in and get back past them. But yeah, definitely pick a solid manoeuvre and set themselves up nicely for the next bit.
So when he says lay, Todd, what he's saying is he means he can get to the next gate with no more manoeuvres. And of course, we've seen from Hannah's debrief, you don't want to be doing too many manoeuvres.
Really a race within a race. We've got the 2 sections going on right now. The top 4, you've got Los Gallos, Germany, Artemis, and USA out in front, and then a big gap back to 5th place with Emirates GBR.
Good comeback, left-hand side of screen. The Bond's Flying Roofs, they're at the back of the pack. It's going to be a high-scoring one. As soon as it gets a bit tricky like this, it's a little bit hard.
Going a bit further here. I'm happy taking left turn here, but it's more breeze on the other side. Nice.
So what he's saying is when he gets there, I'm happy to turn left. We could see he's just turned left, but there's more breeze. He's heading towards the left-hand side of our screen. He's saying he can see more wind towards the right-hand side, and that's always the compromise in sailing. You know, you've got to control what you can control. Do you stay fast or do you sail towards the best wind? And well, I guess that's why you get paid the big bucks, Pete.
Yeah, well, they're on this last leg, so it looks like they've gone to try and shut down the boundary to that final mark. So. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Artemis took the different turn at the bottom, can get back in touch with them, or if they're going to hold on for a second.
Yeah, it's an interesting call, isn't it? Because they've opted for an extra manoeuvre, potentially on the wrong side of the course, if they know there's wind on the other side, just to have rights coming into that mark. So a really big call from Deutsche Bank Germany.
Will it pay off? Right now it is still Los Gallos out in front, Artemis in second, Deutsche Bank in third. Emirates GBR has moved up to 4th as they have overtaken the Americans, who now sit in 5th.
Once again, they're going to have one more manoeuvre, as Hannah was suggesting here. We can see, right, middle of our screen, Los Gallos. It's tricky right now because there's some boats coming towards the wind, which is down. Here we go, there we go. Los Gallos manoeuvre. Crucially, Artemis are foiling. They're going to be ahead of Germany, no drama. But Spain look, oh my Lord, they look so slow on board Los Gallos. This is opportunity for Artemis. They could go 2 for 2 here. Can the Spanish get up and foiling again? Good news for the Spanish fans. That hulls up should mean they can build speed. Look at the top of the mast. 28, 29, 30 is the magic number. They should be foiling.
And there it is. So that might have been the move of the match right there, as they got the boat up to 30 kilometers an hour, and now it will be Los Gallos bringing it home with Artemis in the rear view mirror. So race number 2, and the Emirates winning moment goes to the champions of season 4. Los Gallos wins here in Brazil.
That was a little bit more exciting than we thought it was going to be there, wasn't it? Definitely the beautiful shift out on the left for Artemis up that last speed. And I thought they were going to be a little bit further behind, but I think USA's done really well out of that left-hand side on that last beat, coming up to 4th as well.
They do seem to be. They're going to have a bit of an issue with Emirates GBR, middle of our screen. Germany, Deutsche Bank. This is a really crucial and good result. They're coming across the line here in 3rd. Brilliant for Eric Ho. He got a bronze medal behind you in Rio, didn't he, Pete? So no stranger to the waters here in Rio. I think Emirates GBR. I mean, it's ominous for me because they've dived inside United States. If they can just enter the circle before United States overlap, right of way now with Emirates GBR. The Americans are foiling. They've got to keep clear. Canfield's the match race master.
Look at this.
Oh, he's pulled it out of the bag there, United States. It's now an acceleration game, but they're way faster on board the United States. In the background, North Star Canada are coming in fast as well. Brilliant from Canfield.
30. Copy.
Oh, and Emirates GBR is going to try to protect that position as Canada just threads the needle on the inside.
Yeah, the Canadians weren't entitled to room, but I think that there was too much room and they took it. Open the door. Scott will take it. United States are going to bring it home in 4th. Brilliant start to racing here. North Star. Oh, they needed that one. They're going to bring it home 5th. What a comeback.
So the US SailGP team gets in 4th place. Great work by Taylor Canfield. Giles Scott finishing in 5th. After a terrible start, and now they have themselves in the conversation. Emirates GBR now settling for 6th place.
Finishing that.
You see the frustration on the faces of Dylan Fletcher, Hannah Mills, and company. Stu Bithell. I think they thought they had that. It looked like they were trying to protect that line, and then it cost them when both holes dropped in the water. Yeah, it's very hard to re-accelerate. Something I wanted to ask Pete. I mean, I thought the Spanish were ice cold. I mean, the patience you must need when you've really lost a lot of speed. You can see everyone coming in at twice the speed. How do you stay calm and in the process?
Yeah, it looks super painful having to tack over. If you can start the tack on the foil, it's so much faster to get through and get re-accelerated. But they had to go through that tack on, 2 holes in the water, and then really a long build from there from about 10 kph. So, yeah, nice work putting it in the right spot. And fortunate they had a big enough lead to not let Artemis catch them. But yeah, I think you can see, from what GBR did there, if you get properly slow, just how long it takes you to get going again.
Phil Robertson and Red Bull Italy, they finished in 7th place with the Bonds Flying Ruse of Australia. Tom Slingsby finished 2nd in race number 1. They finished in 8th. Yeah, I think we might need to make a little apology for some of the language there. A little bit of frustration. It's that kind of day, though. It's going to be a lot of good moments, a lot of bad. Anyone that's played Super Mario Kart will understand that. Sometimes you get in the boost through the fleet, and sometimes you get a banana skin, and I think Slingsby had found a banana skin towards the end of that one. DS Team France will check in a top 10 position as they finish in 9th overall, just ahead of the Swiss and Denmark. That is a tough start for Rottwell Denmark. They really need a control-alt-delete reset here because this is not what they need. They've got to start bringing points back. I know we're early in the season, we're event 4, but if you want to get to that grand final in Abu Dhabi, points count now. And we've got some great news as Mubadala Brazil, the home team, is back on the water, and they are going sailing here in race number 3. Now, we'll remind you, they were awarded 5 points for race 1 and 2, so they're in the running, Stevie. This is going to make things very interesting, but the most important thing is they're on the water. Hopefully, the boat is in perfect shape. Yeah, I mean, home event, they desperately want to be out there, and so it's so great. And, of course, Marco and Martini Grail on board there, they know these waters better than anyone. Well, maybe not quite as well as their dad, but they know these waters so well, so they can expect to get some good results here, but it's going to be hard to come into the fleet this late on when all the teams have learned a lot about the start. So we're 1 minute away, and now we've got 12 boats out on the water, all fighting. Remember, it's Artemis has seemed to be unlocked the code here on Guanabara Bay, as Nathan Outridge has a first and a second place. Remember, it's all about accumulating points, and at the end of the 7 fleet races, the top 3 will race off tomorrow on Super Sunday.
Well, the teams line up early. Deutsche Bank coming back quite early. Spain, Los Gallos, they're towards the middle right of our screen. They're at the upwind end of the line, the bottom end of our screen. It's where they've started every race. Pete Burling's told me the line's a bit more even this time, so really a good start fast anywhere on the line should give you a good chance to get to Mark 1. Left-hand side, North Star, they've been shut out by Artemis. Artemis, I don't see your gap there. Switzerland, Artemis and North Star at the bottom end of the line here, hopefully going to get a gap in. I don't see room though, it's going to be really tight. Extra boat on the start line. Mubadala Brazil well positioned. Who can pull the trigger well here? You're too early on Germany, France are too early. Anyone struggling? Wow, it was tight. It's going to be Canfield on board the United States has threaded the needle. North Star is shut out at the top of the line by Los Gallos. Artemis, Emirates, GBR way out the back as we start the race here. It's a short leg to Mark 1. This should be great news for the US team. France are up and foiling now. They're going to have the fastest angle, but can De La Pierre drive it in hot over the top? I think he's going to. So high out the water there, Pete. Look how high those rudders are out.
Yeah, Jace loves flying it nice and high. So awesome pop in the middle of the line there. And I thought the US were going to have it off the line. Looked like a nice setup to Lord, but yeah, great work by the French.
And I guess that's just a constant question for the flight controllers. If I push high, I'm probably got a lot less drag in the water. I'm going to go fast, but you can then potentially skid out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that constant balance between stability and I suppose drag. But yeah, at a certain extent, once you push too high, you start getting too much rake on the foil, and it actually starts getting a bit slower.
Right.
So it's yeah, always that balance of, you know, is it more draggy, is it less draggy? But yeah, and these kind of conditions, light air boards, yeah, high is always good.
North Star Canada out the back. It's Red Bull Italy on top. It is the US SailGP team that is second place with Los Gallos, the winners of the last race, now in fourth, just behind DS Team France.
There's a traffic jam at Mark 1. Opportunity plenty here. Red Bull Italy have nailed their first manoeuvre. Phil Robertson threaded the needle, and he's going to be out in front here as they head off downwind. And we can see now, ironically for North Star, they were at the back, but potentially they're going to go in right-hand side as well. Artemis, they're up and foiling early. They seem to be pretty fast on that Swedish boat, but it's going to be Phil Robertson that takes some catching right now.
Yeah, the French did a nice job through that drive as well. Had a bit of a wobble in the drive, set it down, but managed to get it back up and foiling. So, you know, they'll be in good shape at the bottom mark as well.
On leg number 2, as they approach gate number 2, it is Red Bull Italy with Phil Robertson out in front as they are looking for their first win here this weekend. The Italians finished 7th in race number 1. They finished 7th again in race number 2.
Yeah, Phil and the team were frustrated in Sydney. They were close to that final. They'll be looking to make a final soon. Let's see how well they can execute this manoeuvre.
So Kyle Langford crosses over.
Landing.
Carl's crossed over, the boat turns. We see the wing invert there, so someone's popped a button. Could be Phil, could be Gianna Germani there that pops the wing. They've now set up on the other side. They all cross the boat, and it's then a chance to re-accelerate, but they're going to be in a lot of disturbed wind. They're on the left-hand side of our screen. They've got the Bonds flying Rouge. They've just gone over them. They'll have disturbed the wind. Lots less horsepower here as we look in the fleet. It looks pretty chaotic out there. Artemis are at the back, Emirates GBR are at the back, Los Gallos, United States. Well, they seem to be so good at foiling in these light winds.
Getting less pressure here now.
Yeah, it's amazing when you come back up the first beat, when you have to cross all that bad air from the reach. You see all the boats sitting down, you know, stop, and then once they start breathing the fresh air again, you quite often see them pop and take off. So I'm sure they'll get through that soon and be up foiling in a sec.
We take you on board US SailGP.
And Hannah, you got what's the sort of numbers less on the disturbed wind? It's a couple of kilometres an hour less wind. How much is it?
Well, I think it's so dependent on so many factors, so to put a number on is pretty tricky, especially with the sea state that there is rolling through. But I think it's, again, that combination of the work between the driver, the wing trimmer, and the flight controller. You have to be so in sync to let the boat take off well.
Just a reminder, we're sailing with 4 people on board. Normally it's set up for 6, so everyone's multitasking just a little bit more. It is Red Bull Italy out in front here, leg 3 of 6, halfway through race number 3. One more race to go here on the opening day at the Enel Rio Sail Grand Prix.
Look at the right-hand side of our screen, Todd. The United States again seem to have found their better angle. They're progressing up those ladder lines quicker than the other boats. They're right back in the race. The old master Glenn Ashby on the French boat there. They seem to be finding each other. You know, once you've got a new driver wing trimmer pairing, it's pretty hard to kind of get that almost telepathic skills of being aligned with each other.
Red Bull off the foils now. Both holes in the water.
Yeah, poor manoeuvre there. Really, they're a little bit slow, a little bit long. I think you're inevitably going to fall off, but they have control just at the moment. It's a race to the foils between themselves, France, Rockwell. Rockwell need a good race, and they're getting one at the moment.
Might be able to pull.
Denmark sitting on 8th in first race and 11th in race number 2, so anything in the top 3 would be massive for them.
Pressing a little now.
I feel like this has gone a little bit lighter on the racetrack, do you think?
Everyone behind.
Especially at the top of the course, it looks much lighter. And you can see how short the race course is, but how much movement there is side to side. So there's a lot of gaps opening up in terms of you can't control a lot of the other boats on the course and the direction that they're taking. So you have to be making sure you're going as fast as possible at all times.
I think like early on today, it's felt like it's definitely foiling, and so we're pushing hard to foil. Right now, Pete, has the game changed?
Yeah, well, we saw some big gusts on that first run, but now we've seen them just in a huge lull up the top. So super light breeze. You saw when Italy did that last tack, you know, right 2 holes in the water, and now they're trying to figure out how to get foiling again to get back down the run in good shape. And I mean, this will really give someone a good opportunity in the mid-pack. If you come around the top mark in good breeze, generally you're just off.
Yeah, I think anyone watching SailGP for the first time would be thinking, well, why if you could foil, wouldn't you foil? But I think that's because sometimes to actually try and get the speed to get on the foils, you've got to sail a lot of extra distance. So the whole game in sailing is you either go fast, maybe more distance, or you go slower and sail less distance. It's a compromise. It's all about what's going to get you to the next gate quickest. And right now, Phil Robertson's got the perfect mix.
It looks like he's going to get foiling here around the top mark as well, just getting up to 30 kph. So yeah, he'll pop and get down the run in good shape. But yeah, awesome beat for Denmark that. You know, getting from wherever they were at the bottom up to
Look at this, making life difficult for DS Team France and Quentin Delapierre, which means the Americans will reel in even more. Here comes the Bonds Flying Roos on the right side of your screen as they get very close.
That's right, the Bonds Flying Roos have got the right of way on the United States here. They're entitled to manoeuvre inside them. United States must keep clear, but the United States are going to be a lot faster over the top. Yeah, Slingsby there, they're all going to get us. Just so much fun. When you manoeuvre, you just get so slow there. Nice job by the Bonds Flying Roos, though. It's now a race to the foils. United States should be able to get up there foiling first. And Mubadala Brazil, first actual race here, and they're right in the mix.
Two-time Olympic gold medalist Martini Grail on home water. Remember, they've missed out on the first 2 races because of telemetry issues. Not safe. Boat was fine, but there was telemetry issues, so the other boats unable technically to see them on their screen. So there we go. Mubadala Brazil, good to see them out on home waters. Remember, this event was supposed to happen last year, got postponed, and I know how excited Martini and this crew is to have this event in their hometown.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a stunning venue, isn't it?
Yeah.
And, you know, we've had the Olympics here, we've had the Football World Cup here. So it's great to see SailGP here tight in the pack. Look, Emirates GBR, Switzerland, North Star. It's an absolute pile-up. As soon as you get close to other boats, it's almost like a magnet for less wind. The wind all wants to go up and round those huge... It's like being stood behind a massive building. It's just no wind in there, and no wind just means simply less horsepower.
This is a good old-fashioned SIG alert. If you're from Southern California, you know exactly what that is. You're sitting on the 405 freeway and no one's going anywhere fast. Here on leg 4 of 6, race number 3 is still Red Bull Italy out in front. Rockwell Denmark has moved into second. DS Team France in third with the Australians Bonds Flying Roos in fourth, 1 spot ahead of US SailGP.
Great work by Italy there. Bonds Flying Roos have done a really nice job down here. Somehow they've managed to fend off the United States, but this Italian team, they're looking pretty slick here. Be a huge result for them. We see bottom of our screen, Deutsche Germany, Artemis, well, they need to get on the foils quick. There's a chance of getting up to 6th or 7th for any of those boats at the back that can get foiling, but you need to do it quick. This race is going to end soon.
Boy, the Spanish look to be going nowhere fast.
Yeah, I just feel like there's a bit less wind in on that side of the course. They look to split from the fleet because that means you've got space. But if there's no wind there, space is no good.
Right now, with 1 leg to go for Red Bull Italy, we are in 3rd race. It looks like we're going to have our 3rd different winner. Remember, Artemis won race number 1, Spain won race number 2. It looks like Red Bull Italy in position to claim the win in race 3, but still some work to be done.
Yeah, they're nicely positioned tactically. I think, you know, we've talked to Pete about it a little bit, but if you can be in the same patch of water, quite close to your opposition, going in the same direction, it's pretty hard for them to overtake.
Yeah, it's definitely, if you start playing defensive and make them go around the long way, it's pretty hard to get past, especially in these conditions where you're starting to go that little bit slower. You definitely need some pretty big speed differentials, as we've seen, but yeah, it's looking like a tricky race here, isn't it? You know, those front four are going to manage to foil that last run where the pack behind them have been stuck in this kind of H2 mode going down in a big lull. So it's going to be a race to the bottom mark. I'm sure they're going to get timed out for sure.
Let's see if we can check in down on the water with Lisa Darmanin to get a forecast of what the water and what the wind will be like, not only in this race, Lisa, but what are we looking for race number 4 in about 15-20 minutes time?
Yeah, we aren't expecting the wind to pick up too much. As you said, it has died off a little bit. It's so patchy out here, but there's a little bit of cloud moving over, which has made it softer out here, and really hard to make that decision to foil or not foil, but clear air, but getting away from that disturbed hair is absolute key out here.
Really tight. So you can see Red Bull Italy, the big race here is between France and the Bonds Flying Rouge. Will the Australians be able to get alongside the French and overlap before they hit that blue circle? It looks tight to my eye. I reckon the Aussies are in. Aussies own the mark. What a gain there by Slingsby. He needed, there you go. He enters the circle first and on the inside. Right of way, Australia. Now you can breathe a breath and take the inside, take it calm, go round. Big result to get back to third here.
Slowly rolling here.
Tommy might have those cats on board, I reckon.
Yeah.
Had a few good rolls of the dice in the last couple of races, hasn't he?
But race number 3 will belong to the Italians. Red Bull Italy will come across the line. Phil Robertson, they claim the victory in race 3 here in Rio.
Yeah, huge result for them. That's a big moment there, that's for sure. And a big moment for Rockwool Denmark as well. Just when they needed a good one, they got it. So Hested's delivered under pressure there because they've got themselves right back into the mix here.
Yeah, Denmark was sitting on an 8th and an 11th, so the second is huge for them.
Yeah, and look at this, Todd. Artemis Racing on cue, right at the top of our screen. They're going to take a right turn. They've gone from 12th to 6th with an aggressive manoeuvre at the last gate. Outeridge, they call him the Wind Whisperer. Well, he's got himself back, but it was Slingsby. Well, he shouted at the breeze on that upwind. He got himself right back.
So the Bonds Flying Rouge will finish in 3rd overall in this race, and DS Team France will settle for 4th.
What do you want to do? Do you want to go to a phase 2 and just see how we go? Kind of feels like we've got to do something different.
So Sailing struggling with the start in there, Pete. It's quite common that you'd already start that debrief just the moment you're crossing the finish.
Yeah, super common, to be honest, where you don't have a massive amount of time. So generally the most free time you have is when you're actually kind of commuting back to a stop to, I suppose, rendezvous with your rib. So you start having a bit of a chat with your coach at that point. Then you get some drinks on board, have a little chat to your shore crew, make sure the boat's on 100%, and then tune back into the next race. But yeah, like you said, I mean, massive comeback in that race from the Swedish, from what, dead last at the top mark up to 6th now. Those kind of things are really have your chance to get into the final at the end of the weekend.
Not a bad first 3 races for the Americans, though. You look at their report card, Stevie, a 3, 4, and a 5.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it before, and I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but when it's a bit light like this, Canfield and that US team are so strong.
Go a bit of left, Dave. Building here in this gust.
And we've been able to go down on the water now and talk to the winners of race number 3 here at the Enel Rio Sail Grand Prix in Guanabara Bay, part of the Rolex SailGP Championship. Phil Robertson, Red Bull Italy. Phil, congratulations on the win in race number 3. What was the difference for you guys between race 3 and the first 2 races out in the water?
Yeah, we just got off the start line, to be honest. It's nice when you're in front, you got a bit of clean air so you can sort of pull off your foiling manoeuvres when it counts. And yeah, got the start right, that one, and off we went, off to the races.
Phil, even when you're out in front, it doesn't look like this race is ever over. Are you seeing a pattern on this race course that we should look for?
Nah, there's not a lot of patterns. There's a lot of hills sort of throwing that wind around a lot. So, yeah, there's not a lot of patterns out there, and when you're in front, it's just as hard as when you're behind.
Phil, appreciate the time. Wish you the best of luck in race number 4. Phil Robertson, the driver for Red Bull Italy, the winners of race number 3 here in Brazil. And now the battle continues on out on the water. There are points to be had there, Peter Burling, and it looks like Nathan Outeridge is going to do his best to salvage this one and pick up a 6th.
Yeah, they're still battling it out there for the points, you know, coming in 6th, 7th, 8th. Now, it's been definitely a tough run for the Spanish. I think the Swedish have really made the most of it, but yeah, I was a bit. I thought Germany was going to get a good opportunity in that run as well, but haven't managed to capitalise on it.
Hannah, you've been crunching the numbers. You know how close it gets on Sunday afternoon when everyone's trying to get in there. These are the races that really make the difference.
Yeah, I mean, anyone can win races, but it's really about how you make those bad results into a slightly better result. So being able to climb back through the fleet is super important, and really nice to see that Artemis have sort of salvaged a decent result there.
So it looks like Artemis will claim 6th place to go with their first in race number 1, their second in race number 2, and the 7th place belongs to the Swiss. 8th will go to Los Gallos.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you're just not really in control of what comes your way, but when a bit of an opportunity comes, that those that take it are going to make the massive gains, and you've got to hand it to the Swedish there. They did a nice job. Solid one for the Swiss, but they'll be looking to really improve as we go into race 4.
And you can get a 7th now and then, Stevie. You just have to back it up with a 1, 2, and a 3. And unfortunately, the Swiss have not seen that performance here on day number 1. Spain bouncing back after winning race 2, and they will drop back to 8th on this one. So they will go back and sort this one as well. Looks like Germany Deutsche Bank will finish in 9th. Look into your crystal ball. Who wins race 4?
I'm not sure, but it's definitely a lot lighter than it was before. So you'll see the boats that are set up in the front, I think, will be really kind of in the strong positions this time around. It'll be a lot harder to get on the foil and get through from the back.
We're full speed to the top. And
so just over 35 seconds to go before the start of the 4th and final race here from Rio. And it is all on. Everyone will be scrambling Stevie Morrison for the points. Remember, we've got 3 races so far, 3 different winners with Artemis Spain and Red Bull Italy.
Yeah, a bit less breeze here, like Pete says. You can see those boats on the front row. It's going to be, well, I don't know about impossible. It's going to be very unlikely that anyone's going to be able to wind it up and foil through this start line. So if you can lead, you've got that clean air. Like most sport events, front row tickets are going to be the key here. As we can see the United States at the top end. Will there be room? I think there will. Canfield's normally the master in this situation. 4 seconds to go. We're looking for the line to turn white. Who's got their timing right?
It's not going. There you go.
No room for Artemis here. Surely he's going to try and squeeze through, but it's too tight on board there. Too tight. Should be good news for the US here. Canfield is the master on the start in these light winds.
Yeah, Tommy's got a nice one out of the middle there as well, getting a hull fly, working super hard. So it'll be a super tight drag race with all 4 of those boats at 20 kph into Mark 1.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so, it's not quite happening as quick here, Pete, but it's so tense when it gets this light. The nerves you used to feel out of Mark 1 is just unbelievable, isn't it? Effectively, if you can lead after the first manoeuvre from Mark 1, you're feeling pretty good for the race.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you normally get 1 opportunity to take off. You know, I think the Aussies got it airborne there up at 30, Americans as well. So that consequence of if you just get an H1 or just get the takeoff, you're really gone.
Yeah, look at gate 2 though. It's off the left-hand side of our screen. It's a handbrake turn here for most of the teams, I'd suggest. You've got to manoeuvre early. We've got a shorter course for this last race. Start even more heavily weighted, but this first manoeuvre, wow, pressure's on, teams.
It's a H1B. Yeah, I don't think we can cross.
And it's the Bonds Flying Ruse, the first to maneuver.
H1B. That means they're going to come out on 1 hull, but they've left the board in. You see on the left-hand side there, they've kept 2 boards in the water to help lift that hull up there. Jensen called it mid-manoeuvre, and it might have been the call of the day for the Bonds Flying Ruse, because they've stuck a great manoeuvre. They've still got speed. Can they get back up to 30? Middle of the pack. Well, it's tight. North Star are foiling, Artemis are foiling, but they've got manoeuvres to do. There's a traffic jam in the middle of the racecourse.
Take it down on the H1 here.
So it's the Bonds Flying Ruse after mark number 1 that have the lead. Remember, their report card on the day, they started off great in 2nd place, dropped back to 8th in race number 2, and in 3rd race, they finished in 3rd.
I just missed Germany behind us.
Super tough first jibe there for the Americans. You know, they had an awesome reach. Good start again, like you said, Stevie, but yeah, it's tough first jibe to really put them into the back. But you see
the umpires.
Both Aussie doing a great
penalty
job
Sweden,
jibe and Denmark. So
not giving room at the boundary, go behind GBR.
Craig Mitchell doling out some penalties to Artemis.
I think in this light winds as well, any penalty is so costly. They've got to drop back behind Emirates GBR here. So you've got to see, you want to take it as soon as possible before the gap gets too much. Good news for them could be that Emirates GBR get foiling. They are foiling. That might not hurt too much in that case for Artemis here. Outeridge can probably just keep sailing and the penalty will take itself away. But the Bonds Flying Ruse, they're down the road here. Easy left turn. They're just going to head leg 2 of 5 here. So they're just heading upwind and then a short downwind leg before they head to the finish.
A boundary in 10.
Definitely be a touch
This
and
is a
go.
dream race course if you get ahead early, because not only is it a short course, but also you can see all the boats lining up. Most of them will be looking to take that left turn, so really hard to catch up, but easy once you're ahead.
Pete, we've got on the right-hand side of our screen there, you can see North Star seemingly just sailing around the outside of the US team here. How do you sail through the disturbed wind of another boat like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, it really gives you some opportunities if you are at the back in this light here. You kind of see North Star on one side, Spain on the other, up and foiling, and all the others in the middle. When the boats are going fast, they actually create a lot more bad air than when they're H2 going slow. So if you can get fast from behind and carrying on through, then you really give yourself some opportunities to make some big gains.
As we take you on board Butler Brazil, this is the Tim Brazil 5G POV. There you see the flight controller, Rasmus Kostner, just stepping out of view. They are currently in 12 Stevies, or 11th, I should say. They have some work to do.
Yeah, they got some work to do. It's almost like they knew we'd just switched camera to them and they didn't want to be on screen. But yeah, it's an incredible view to actually get in the cockpit there and see those controls that the flight controllers are using. Very confusing on the racetrack right now. We've got the Bonds Flying Roo coming upwind. Artemis, Butler Brazil, they're going downwind. They're heading away from Mark 1 still. They're way at the back. You can see Los Gallos. Well, they're showing us 9th, but they are foiling on the right-hand side of our screen. They're going to have space, but if they fall off the foils here, it'll be a park again. Can the Spanish tickle? No, it's going to be a rebuild for them. They're going to have to try and gain speed, but they're on their own. Good pressure ahead, Diego says. Good pressure's good news.
So it's the Bonds Flying Roos, Rockwell, Denmark, Germany, Deutsche Bank, North Star, Canada, and Los Gallos, your top 5, with US SailGP sitting on the outside currently in 6th. Remember, this is all about getting as many points as you can in each race. So on the last race of the day, you were in the top 3, and you're racing in the event final.
Lift and pressure.
See there for Australia. We've got a nice bit. Here we go. Let's have a little look here. We've got wind speed on board Denmark, and Spain is similar. Speeds are similar. There you go. So there's not huge gains happening around the course right now.
Might be able to foil around it.
You can just see here.
Huge lefty there. Righty.
So Slingsby's saying the wind's rotated to the bottom left-hand corner of our screen. That means he's going to be sailing nearly straight up the ladder lines. But the problem is, you can't just sail straight to the gate here, Hannah, can you? It's going to force Slingsby into a couple of extra manoeuvres, and it's a really hard choice at this next gate.
I think we might be going to a right turn here towards the finish. We've got a really, really short course for this final race, but when the breeze is shifting around in direction so much, you really want the boats to kind of fall in line behind you if you're leading. So really tricky decision making, especially look how slow they're going now out of this manoeuvre. If anyone can get up and foiling on the sides of the course, this might put their lead at risk.
Next little bit of pressure.
Yeah, that's right. This one, they're actually going to go round this gate. They're going to head downwind, a very short one, and then they're going to take a left turn to the finish. See, middle of our screen, there's one mark on its own, just near Rockwell. They're going to have to go through the gate, and then they've got a very short downwind leg. As we've seen, this race is far from over, Todd.
There you see the speeds on the mast right now. No one has hit the magic number of 30, although Emirates GBR is sitting at 36. They're the low ones, but they're on the far right-hand side of the screen. And look at Artemis coming on strong now. As Nathan Outridge has found the secret sauce. He's up to 35 kilometers an hour. Meanwhile, at the front of the pack, it is the Bonds Flying Roos just trying to find some pressure to bring this thing home and claim a victory.
Here, we might have to go back down there.
Yeah, that left turn's looking super favoured now with the big right shifts. It'll be a big decision here whether you're straight downwind in H2, just taking the VMG, or you're actually trying to foil this last run. Looks like they're just going to take it downwind and play it safe.
Pete, how much harder is it on a race like this when it's so tight, so tense, and you just have 4 people on board? Are your head spinning around a little bit more than it normally would be?
Yeah, you're definitely super busy in this kind of race, especially in these conditions where you're foiling sometimes, trying to pick different modes. It looks like they're trying to get accelerated here to take off at the moment, so it's yeah, some big decisions, big consequences to making the right or wrong decision, and yeah, you've really got to choose the right mode the whole time.
That strategist role is so key and so important, especially on a day like today. As you see, Germany, Deutsche Bank now. They'll try to get around the outside of Rockwell, Denmark. Just behind them, North Star, Canada, and Giles Scott, Olympic gold medalists coming into view as well.
Yes, tight here. Oh, Germany, what a job. They've popped it up on the foils there. But they've got to roll over the top of Rockwell. Rockwell have the right of way. They've got to go fast around the outside here if they can. Here we go. Rockwell take off as well. I think the hard thing in this light winds, Todd, is any decision you make, you're paying the consequences of it potentially for
You're going to live with it.
Yeah, exactly.
You better be sure. Here we go. Leg 4 of 5. It is still Australia out in front. Denmark, Germany, Canada, USA, your top 5. Brazil, Butler Brazil has moved up to 6. So a great showing for Martini Grail.
Yeah, it's going to be tight at the finish here. You see Germany managed to pull off the foiling jibe there, still up and foiling. Australia did the jibe in H2, so they kind of committed to that low riding option. So, yeah, I'd expect this to be super close between Germany and Aussie coming into Mark 1 to the finish.
Eventually Rockwell as well here, Todd. Yeah, look at
the speed. Here we go. Chase time. Rolex chase time now. Down to 7 seconds between the Germans and the Australians.
That's right. So as they round the mark, the Australians have the right of way. As soon as they leave the mark, the Germans will be round the outside and they will then suddenly gain the right of way. Slingsby's got to get foiling quick. He's going to go wide. This is clever by Slingsby. He's having to avoid those other boats, and this is going to make, he's opening the door for the Germans. You've got to go around the outside, Eric.
H1B, be ready. No, it's okay.
Can they stay foiling? Look at that. Kevin Pepinay says H1B. Eric Heil says, don't you worry, my man. I've got this. And he swings it round the outside. They're still foiling. This is going to go the way of the Germans, Todd.
Super upwind to the finish here, so at some stage the Germany's going to have to head upwind, but it seems like Australia's got a penalty on the wing there. Have to see what happens.
Oh, this is going to be the worst possible time for that penalty to come in, and it does look like Germany Deutsche Bank is in position. How about this for a finish? The fourth and final race here in Brazil at the Enel Rio Sail Grand Prix will go the way of Germany Deutsche Bank. As Eric Heil Kosegarten brings it home, they scan the horizon, they see they've got clear waters, and the win will go to the Germans in race 4.
Really complex penalty for Australia here. It was because they were meeting boats on the other leg of the course. He's got to lose nearly 50 metres here, and that's costed him places. Oh, I suggest we do not go on board the Australian boat right now because they are not going to be happy right there. That's a painful, painful penalty. They're still trying to bleed the distance relative to those other boats. More distance to lose. They're going to end up all the way back and forth. For my money, that's still a pretty solid result. Oh, they've crossed the line now here.
Yeah,
we got him.
Find out where that penalty ends up paying off afterwards here. There could be a time penalty to go on top of that as well, which could put them behind Canada.
So it is Germany Deutsche Bank that gets the win. Denmark definitely gets second place, and then it becomes provisional. It looks like North Star Canada will get third. The Bonds Flying Roos may finish in fourth, may get fifth. US SailGP at top 5 as well.
Yeah, that's right. I was just checking in with Craig there, Todd, and we've heard from the umpire that the penalty was because they met those boats on the other leg of the course. They had actually cleared the penalty when they finished there, so where we see them in third, that is where they will finish that race. No further penalty to come for the Australians.
Yeah, nice comeback.
So what a race for Germany Deutsche Bank. Not really on our radar for most of that race, Stevie, Hannah, and Pete. And then they save the best for last, the penultimate leg. They make some big maneuvers, and they end up winning race 4.
100 children.
Spain are going to get a good one out here. All these points are absolutely crucial at this time in the race. You can see France have been having a good one, but they're at the back at the moment. Spain, they dig out a 6th. It's not what they would have hoped for today, but sometimes averages can be good enough.
Yeah, the team that's having a tough day today is GBR, aren't they?
Yeah.
They've come off such a run of form, and obviously that incident with the foil in the first race, but these last couple have been painful to watch.
Yeah, we see here 6th place for Spain, but Artemis have got the right of way once they get in that circle. He's got to watch out for Phil Robertson. Phil Robertson loves a scrap, and we've got a scrap coming on here. As they enter the circle, Artemis will gain the right of way. Robertson's trying to keep them out of the circle. Look at Robertson. Look how aggressive he is. He's sailing. All the boats are going to have to do extra manoeuvres here. Match race, 2 times match race world champion Robertson.
What's gone?
Super aggressive. He owns the mark, but he's going to be very, very slow. Martini needs to get out of the way.
Kyle, board up. That's coming. And
they've got to do a 180-degree turn here, Todd. Martini's going to try and keep the speed. You've got no rights there, Martini. You've got no rights there, Martini. Oh, Mubadala Brazil, you're going to get yourself a penalty.
Yep, you're board up.
Got it.
She's just about giving enough room, but I think she's got to give room to Artemis as well. Oh, if they have a touch here. This is tight. That's brave from Martini there. What an aggressive manoeuvre by here. I think she's judged it perfectly, but can they re-accelerate on board that Brazilian boat?
This is the battle for 7th, 8th, and 9th, and the points that accompany it as Phil Robertson threads the needle inside there, doing a little dance with Martini Grail, a little samba, probably unintentional. Stevie, apologies stealing your line there, but here comes Artemis now in ninth. They want a piece of this action as well.
Artemis got really slow. Phil Robertson, all that commentary Phil Robertson was giving us there wasn't for our benefit, it was for Craig Mitchell's. Trying to make it clear he was doing everything he could to keep clear, but Martini, wow, super aggressive. She could well get good reward for that. Fastest boat at the moment going around the outside, and we've seen how crucial points are.
Board down on board. Board down.
Oh, and it looks like it is going to be Red Bull Italy, the team that won race number 3. They're going to get just enough speed to get 7th place.
Well, wow, they did well there, didn't they? They just managed to pop the hull up. Robertson, well, he loves a match race. He loves a fight, Phil Robertson, doesn't he, Pete?
Yeah, I mean, those kind of situations end up way more stressful than they should be, don't they? Where you've just kind of both parked up, and there's people behind you, the boats are super tight together, and yeah, you've just got to make sure there's enough space between the foils. People often don't remember, but the foils are a good chunk wider than the yacht. So, just making sure you keep the boats apart, and I think Brazil did a great job getting an extra point on Artemis there as well.
I just wanted to flow.
So it will be Brazil, the home team that finishes in 8th place, just one behind Red Bull Italy, the winners of race number 3. But the top honors in race number 4, 4 races, 4 different winners, and the final race goes the way of Germany. Deutsche Bank, the first race of the day, as we welcome in the 5th member of our broadcast team, Peter Burling, the Olympic gold medalist and 3-time America's Cup champion.
And Lisa mentioned the configuration today, Pete. And what does that mean for the conditions that we've got? What does it mean for the sailors on board and the conditions we've got today?
Yeah, there's been a whole heap of chat about the configuration today. Last minute change to change those high-speed rudder wings, so that'll make the boats a little more unstable and pitched, but I think the right call, looking at the conditions, and also that 27-metre wing up today as well. It's definitely on the upper end of it, but should be right in the window. So, those light air at the top mark looks super light up towards the top mark, so it'll be all about getting around there, foiling and getting away from there in good shape.
So with 30 seconds to go, a little drama right out of the gate. Stevie Morrison, they are all in the box ready to go, and this is the calm before the chaos.
Yeah, and I mean, chaos is going to be induced. Look at Sugarloaf Mountain in the background there, Todd. That's where the wind's got to come round. Really chaotic. Right-hand side of screen, Artemis. They're lining up a bit of a hot shot coming in fast at the back. Can they find a gap through the fleet? The Bond's Flying Rouge, they're up and foiling at the top end of the line. Rolex pole predicts on the Spanish, looking for that line to turn white. It's all about being on the foils and fast when this gun goes. Oh, the Aussies are coming through so hot through the middle there, sling speed.
This is the umpires. Early start penalty, Brazil.
Oh, they were early, but look at the Bond's Flying Rouge, Todd. They're out the back thread of the needle. Artemis are coming charging through in the back round too. So hard to judge the wind here, but one thing's for sure, if you're fast, you're free.
Careful on the windward heel. Copy this.
Yeah, one thing you find with that 5-0 configuration, most of the teams are taking their G1, their main grinder off the boat, so in these unstable conditions, the D2 will be having to work super hard.
So as they approach mark number 1 in race number 5 here on Super Sunday, it is the Bond's Flying Rouge. They are in first place overall after 4 events yesterday, and they are starting off on a great one.
Soft, yes, Sammy, go hard.
Left turn at Mark 1 there, and I think from what we've been seeing in the pre-start, that coming away from Mark 1 and pushing all the way to boundary, that's what you've been seeing as the favoured way in here, haven't you, Han?
Yeah, that's right, and I think a lot of the teams are going to be looking to see if they can do one manoeuvre and get into that left turn at the bottom, but huge pressure difference on the course. If you can get ahead into this breeze, you can be up and foiling, but the boats at the back really struggling for speed there.
Pete, you've got an Olympic gold medal here in these conditions. This looks pretty hard to predict out there.
It does look reasonably tricky, doesn't it? But those 2 boats up front have done really well, kind of got away in good breeze. So, I think it's going to be all about just connecting the dots. You can see those darker patches on the water really meaning there's a lot more breeze, and those kind of glacier patches meaning super light. So plenty to play for.
The first of 3 fleet races today, and then the field will be cut to only the top 3 boats. They will race off in the event final, and right now it is the Bond's Flying Rouge out in front, finding the clean air. There you see Artemis sitting in 2nd place, and Red Bull Italy sitting in 3rd with the Swiss Stevie, a top 4 position right now.
Yeah, an interesting move by Artemis here. They didn't want to follow the Bond's Flying Rouge. Red Bull Italy have done a nice job. And what a great camera angle that is, not just because it looks beautiful, but we can have a little look at the breeze. It's pretty unstable across the course, but right now up in the Oracle Cloud, we're seeing a bit more wind on Artemis. More wind should mean more speed. Potential to gain here for Artemis. Anytime they can get separated, we can expect to learn a lot about the course.
And everyone opting for that left-hand side, gate number 2, the DP World gate, other than Artemis, and there's Los Gallos also also, Pete, opting for the other side of the course.
Yeah, that left-hand turn's actually pretty favoured at the moment, so the boat's taking the right, like Los Gaos in Spain, taking a pretty decent loss to start off with, but then, yeah, hopefully trying to get some more pressure out of that decision. So, yeah, it looks like the Aussies are in really good shape at the moment.
I think as well what Pete's saying when he says it's biased, it's basically the course won't be totally symmetrical. So actually, by doing that left turn, they're sailing less distance. You know, and of course, if you can make your racetrack shorter, that's going to really save you some time.
Yeah, so I think the key to this next part of the course, looking at the data, that those top marks are so close to the Sugarloaf, so it's going to be super light and patchy up there. So it'll be really about making sure you come in fast, kind of well over the ley line and get in and out clean.
Speed should not be a problem today. If you were with us yesterday, quite a bit less breeze, but not the story today as we go down in the water. Lisa Darman, what are you seeing? Is it still the left side that's favorable?
Yeah, definitely. The wind is sort of coming around Sugarloaf on the left-hand side, and interestingly, I think what Australia did there is it took the advantage of the gate bias, but it also means that they can have this really nice approach to the gate with just one less manoeuvre than Artemis needs to do. So it'll be interesting to see if they try to do another manoeuvre to get back out to the breeze on the left-hand side of Sugarloaf Mountain.
Yeah, you can see Artemis, middle of our screen, they manoeuvred. What I'm seeing here, Pete, is actually they're not doing very good foiling tacks here, which I think is down to the fact they've got these small rudders on the back of the boat, and it's not able to glide through the manoeuvres as well.
Yeah, it definitely makes it a little bit harder, but it shouldn't be that bad. We'll have to see what Italy does here. Yeah, I think if you get enough entry speed, you should be just fine. That last tack looks super strange on Artemis, so we have to go back and take a look at what happened there. But I mean, the Aussies have got a huge lefty going up the top here, but still deciding to take that left turn, so there must be a lot more pressure on this side.
This is leg 3 of 7. It is the Australian team out in front, the Bonds Flying Roos, and they have found where those holes, Stevie, we were talking about before we came on the air. Tons of breeze across the course, and then you sail into a pocket of nothing. And now Red Bull Italy, who are still on the foil, come flying in, and they make a pass.
Yeah, and Italy here have potentially got right of way, but you probably want to avoid contact if you can. Australia have got to make sure there's space for Red Bull Italy in there. Australia around the outside. Phil Robertson, well, he's nothing if not aggressive.
He's going to send it.
High is better for pressure.
This is the umpires. Penalty Denmark, relative Spain.
Okay, that happened further on down the course. So Denmark have got to drop behind Spain, which shouldn't take too long to achieve. They're expected to come and look at this dark patch of water at the top. Basically a parking lot at the top. I think if you can just stay for all the teams are desperate to turn left. I think unless you can see a big patch of wind on the right turn, then you're just trying to sail into wind, accelerate the boat away. Here we go, look. They're going to be off.
You can see that slight difference in configuration. I think Italy's one of the few boats that's actually running a person in the G1 position. So, big difference across the fleet as to how they've decided to use that 5-up configuration.
I think especially on a day like today, the Italians obviously opting to put their strategies forward, which means that they're not as able to see the course as well, so they've got to be super prioritising sailing the boat rather than looking around finding the best pressure.
So a lead change, Steve. We've got Red Bull Italy in front, but for how long? As the Bonds Flying Roos pulling right behind him, they will now maneuver away, and it's Artemis in 3rd place. So it's Italy, Australia, and Sweden, 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, think a little bit like yesterday. We're seeing here the foiling percentages, and Italy's been really good, but they've just fallen off the foil. I think the sea state is quite unstable, so it's a bit like being on a bumpy road out there, and it's easy to make a little mistake, get a little high or a little low before a manoeuvre and come off the foil. So lead change back.
I got power.
Ian Jensen saying put a little in the bank. What he means by that is even if you think you can make the mark easily, give us a bit more space so we're definitely going to make it. A bit what Pete was saying at the top.
Yeah.
Be wide on the course so there's a lot of margin, because when it's as changeable as this, it's hard to judge.
Yeah, it looks like they're getting in just fine for that left turn again with all these 3 boats. So it'll be interesting to see if anyone splits off. It looked like Artemis was sending a couple of lewards, so they'll probably take the right turn and the repeat of the first bit.
So once again, it's off to the left-hand side of that DP World Gate with the Bonds Flying Roos leading the way. And again, as Pete predicted, Artemis and Nathan Outridge, they will split the course and they will head to the other side. It'll be interesting to see what Los Gallos does. Diego Bottini looks like he's going to follow the Italians on the left.
I think what's interesting, if we look at our scoreboard on the left-hand side, I mean, form recently, Emirates GBR have been unplayable. We see them in the middle top of our screen, and they're just sat wallowing in the water under Sugarloaf along with the German team. Unbelievable. They're sitting in 12th at the moment in the standings. It's all about the top of the standings, though, in that race to the final. USA and Italy, well, here we go. The USA have done a nice job working their way back through the fleet. They sit 2 points into that final at the moment, but wow, it's going to be tight. It's so changeable out here on the racetrack.
Still 2 more fleet races to go after this one, and then as Stevie pointed out, the top 3 will battle it off in the event final here in the shadows of Sugarloaf. This is like 5 of 7 of race number 5 with 2 more still to go, and it is still the Bonds Flying Ruse. They got the whole shot. They gave the lead one time to Red Bull Italy, but quickly got it back. And Hannah, this is a team, the Bonds Flying Ruse, they have so much experience, but they missed out on the final at their home event in Sydney.
Yeah, I mean, on their day, they are such a strong team, but I think it's one of those venues where you've got to stay calm, and we know that frustration can creep in, especially on a day like today. So even though they're ahead, they're going to have to keep working super hard to sail the boat nice enough to stay ahead of the fleet here.
Yeah, it's one of the few days where you can actually see the puffs and lulls on the camera angle, isn't it? It's not often, as a sailor, you talk about the puffs and lulls and what you're actually looking for, but you can visually see it on the screen. So pretty cool, this high shot.
Committee, the top marks are moving. Can you please get them to stop?
Tom Stingsby just saying the gates having a little bit of move.
Right, after this.
They've got leg 5 of 7, so they've got to go down and then across towards that finish line.
It's like a nympho out of the Adina, Chicago out of this mark.
Chicago. Sounds like a few dance moves going on there or something, Pete.
The Aussies love a few code words, don't they, just to try and make things a bit complicated.
I think that the way they use that is just if you've got to do multiple manoeuvres in one thing, that you can cut it down to one word. You'd call it your playbook, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. You kind of, instead of having to say 3 or 4 words to describe a situation, you say one, and then you're everyone knows what's going on. But yeah, hopefully they can get the boat up and foiling again. Obviously, looks like good pressure on the screen.
This time they've got the better position, Pete, and they were able to hold the Italians off. Where last time the Italians got to the inside of them, so they defend that gate really well.
Yeah, we sort of heard Tom say, "Do we own the mark here?" So that kind of means did they get into the zone before they tack, so that. Yeah, they own the inside, which they definitely did that time.
Yeah, and look at them go, Todd. You see them going away in that dark patch of water. The early manoeuvre, Italy are foiling, so it's a race to the foils between Los Gaios and Artemis right now. USA have done well again here.
Yep.
Oh, Italy are in there. They've had a bit of a wobble. Big gust of wind. Chance for Artemis. Manoeuvre coming quickly for Italy.
2, 1 angle.
Nice recovery there.
So Phil Robertson able to get the Italians back up on the foils again, but meanwhile it is almost all over. No one is going to catch the Bonds Flying Ruse in race number 5. And I don't care what Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman say, they got a pretty good skipper on board.
Yeah. He's obviously had his crumpets for breakfast outside today on the water.
It looks seriously tricky out there, doesn't it? But they've done a nice job, haven't they?
Yes, they have indeed. So race number 5 comes to a conclusion, and your Emirates winning moment. It's the Bonds Flying Ruse winning the first race on Super Sunday.
Good action for the fans. I mean, they're just finishing right in front of the fans there, right under Sugarloaf. And Red Bull Italy, Todd, are going to get another second. They're chasing hard for a final here.
Airport's gone.
Yeah, I think Artemis, strong result from them after a tough couple in the second half of yesterday, and then the Americans, nice comeback there to get up. So
also, Los Gaios got a position on the Americans, so they move up. The Spaniards move into 4th place, and the Americans looks like they'll have to settle for 5th.
Yeah, yesterday the Americans were just absolutely incredible off the start.
Yeah.
They averaged 3rd place at Mark 1. They were 3rd, 5th, 2nd at Mark 1. Unbelievable consistency, but to be consistent today, I think is just so hard. You know, you could be starting in 25 kilometres an hour wind, or you could be starting in about 6. There you go. Action-packed finish.
So US SailGP and Taylor Canfield come across the line, a top 5 finish. Remember, it's all about accumulating points. The Swiss, who were top 3 earlier, they finished in 6th.
I think the Spanish.
Here come. Good result here for the Swiss coming across in 6th. Rockwool Denmark, they were sort of, a bit of a wobble there by Rockwool Denmark. A lot of water over the boat. A lot of water over the boat. They stopped. It's a big re-accelerate needed here. Can they fend off the fast-charging French, Quentin de la Pierre? He's lined up well for that finish line. Big wave there.
Clearance 3.
Oh, Rockwool Denmark, that's going to be so costly. It's tight. I think they'll just hold off Mubadala Brazil. North Star, Germany, Deutsche Bank and Emirates, GBR. I mean, they've looked they've not, well, they've been in a final, every final since the middle of the summer last year. Like, this just seemed inevitable they'll make the final, but no chance now. There is no chance Emirates GBR are making the final 3 boats here in Rio.
Yeah, it's surprising after that tough day yesterday. You really thought they would have come out swinging in this first race, but they got themselves pretty tight up at the start and made their life super hard for sure. But I'll have to see what they've got in the next couple.
So North Star Canada will get the last point available in 10th place, with the Germans and Brits still out on the course trying to wrap up this first race, race number 5. We are now 90 seconds away from the start of the next race. It is race number 6. As we take a look at the leaderboard right now, remember, you need to be in the top 3, and Stevie, this is shaping up to be a great dash to the finish.
Yeah, I mean, to me it looks like there's 5 boats battling for those 3 places at the moment. Little jump for the Bonds Flying Ruse, but we've seen that top of the course under Sugarloop, so gate 3 and gate 5, absolute potential nightmare.
So there are the Australians, the Swedes, the Americans in the top 3 position. Then you have the Italians, the Spanish. Germany maybe on the outside looking in. Denmark, it's going to be a tough bit of sledding for them, as we are now 1 minute away, Hannah, and now everyone moving into the box. I got to understand what is going on with Emirates GBR, because they are not having their best regatta.
I mean, it is a super tricky venue, but I think you can have a weekend where you just don't get in sync in the conditions. So that could be it, but I'm sure they'll be looking to make their mark in this race.
All right, here we go. 37 seconds away from the start of race 6, the penultimate fleet race. 1 more to go, then the field will be cut to just the top 3.
We've got 2 distinct strategies here, haven't we? We've got Red Bull Italy, Rockwool USA. They've kind of put their towel on the deck chair, as it was, at the front row here. Right-hand side of the screen, Bonds Flying Ruse are trying to try and fire in fast and hot again. Rolex Pole Predictor 6 on North Star. It's going to be struggle here for Bonds Flying Ruse to find a gap, I'd say, at the top. Artemis are coming in fast, but they've got a lot of heel going on. Tight at the bottom end of the line. Acceleration's going to be tricky for Red Bull Italy. Who's got the time in here?
And it's clean at the line.
Oh, it was clean. Sorry for any language people may have heard there. USA again first off the line, but they're not fast. Emirates GBR, wow, there you go. That's a bit more like the Emirates GBR we're used to, but can they still? No, they're off the foils. Oh, it's gone so light under Sugarloaf. It's a reset, it's a rebuild, it's a restart for the fleet here. They've got to get on the foils quickly.
I think you're called
the
yesterday,
umpires.
Stevie, with the
penalty GBR.
the US getting off the line well. It was a
when your boat not keeping clear, go behind
Italy.
Italy.
In that front row and got off really well. GBR took the unconventional route and coming through from the back, and I think they've actually picked up a penalty.
Chief Umpire Craig Mitchell assessing the penalty to
Australia.
Emirates GBR, plus a penalty
Switzerland.
going to the Bonds Flying Ruse. So double penalty as they come to mark number 1. Big difference. Beautiful shot, Stevie, with Sugarloaf Mountain in the background, but they are slow.
Yeah, I mean, the Aussies are going to have to lose back. We heard there Dylan Fletcher, it's going to be painful. They got to drop back through. Real frustration on board the Bonds Flying Ruse right now. They've got to drop back behind Switzerland, so that penalty should come off quite quick. Look, right-hand side of the screen, look at the heel on the Spanish boat. We can just see these gusts. They're dropping in almost from the sky, so hard for the crews to predict. Switzerland, here we go, nearly up and foiling. Australia trying to get behind them. Slingsby's having to swerve it around, but at Mark 1, it's going to be Los Gallos, followed by the USA top.
All I heard was vamos, and the Spanish are gone. Los Gallos, newly purchased this week, and they get the Rolex Sprint Leader Award as they get the whole shot at mark number 1. Now, can they pull away? They've got Rockwool, Denmark in second. US SailGP team with another great start, sit in third on 60 kilometers an hour. Then you have the Bonds Flying Ruse and the Swiss, your top 5.
Pete, sometimes I feel a bit harsh. I think teams look pretty scrappy out here with the manoeuvring. Is that because they've got the too big a wing for the conditions, or it's just that the wind's that changeable?
I think it's just so puffy and not having the full 6 up on board. Like most of the teams, you're either missing a strategist or a G1 with the 2 different configurations everyone's sailing. So it's really making your life that little bit harder to be steady. You can kind of see even the Spanish here leaving the flight controllers are lured for a significant amount of time. Pretty unusual. But yeah, the Aussies, great first run here again. I think they're in on the ley line for a couple of gains.
Getting some good reporting down on the water from Lisa Darman, and Pete, you can translate this for the fans at home. The apparent wind is changing, keeps, that's Lisa's word, not mine, as well as they go in and out of the gust, making it hard to control.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, the boats are driven off apparent wind, so normally you're going super fast, and the wind's always coming from in front, where if you're stationary and you're getting these big gusts, apparent's going a long way aft and making them super flighty and unstable.
Perfect. So the gate 2, the DP World gate, it is still Spain on top. Australia has moved into second place beside that early penalty, Stevie, and the US SailGP team still top 3 with Artemis in 4th.
Yeah, Slingsby worked so hard to clear the penalty and then executed just a perfect manoeuvre after Mark 1. Look, they're straight up on the foils again here. I think we need to think about this race to the final. Spain, USA, Australia. Here we go, perfect.
Here we go.
Someone's listening to me, Todd. And then we go, Spain have got themselves up in the final. Sweden and USA, wow, it's so tight for Artemis. Italy have got to do a lot of overtaking if you want to keep their hopes alive. But that's the race we want to watch. Can Sweden start to make some games? Left-hand side of the screen, USA, they're up on the foils, but there looks like a little bit less wind where they are right now.
Yeah, I think the interesting part here is if it's the same as the last race, that top left was super strong in that left turn at the top. So, I think you'll be seeing those boats that are on starboard tack right now able to get hard into that left-hand side, taking some pretty big gains at the top.
This is leg 3 of 7 in the penultimate fleet race. We've got one more still to go with Spain out in front. Los Gallos trying to be the first team to win 2 races in this regatta. Remember, they won race 2 on day number 1. It was Artemis, Spain, Red Bull, Italy, and Germany, the 4 winners on day 1, with Australia winning the first race today.
Pretty wide open course, as Pete said. Everyone's up towards the top of our screen, top right-hand corner. That blue line, that's the lay line for the left turn that Pete's talking about. So I don't know as many. Nathan's nearly gone a little bit wide there, but you can see the whole fleet up there. It's so rare to see the fleet compressing onto one lay line like that, Hannah.
Yeah, and I think from the last race we saw that there was some quite big shifts in the direction to the left, and I think that's where the wind's just wrapping around that left-hand side of Sugarloaf Mountain, really sort of favouring this left turn, but also creating a load of congestion on that side.
I was going to say before, you saw the Danish being super aggressive to take a short tack right up to that ley line, and that's really paid dividends for them here coming in 3rd.
So the Von Flying Roos have closed the gap on Spain. It is Rockwell, Denmark that has moved into 3rd, but it's still Los Gallos out in front. The Swiss make a quick move in there as we check in down in the water. Lisa Darman, and how are the conditions, and have they changed much since the last race?
Oh, the conditions haven't changed much. It's diabolical out here. The difference between where the mark is and then 50 meters away is huge, and it's just making it so hard. And right now, everyone trying to do this left turn, just so much congestion. A lot of rules getting thrown around as well, I'm sure.
It's really tight. We can see here, bottom right left-hand corner of our screen, USA are about to take a right turn on here. That stayed on the foil. Artemis, wow, it looked pretty hectic moving away there, but this is going to be a big moment here for the US. They've stayed on the foils. Canfield said a little more wind, but if they get this right, they could be right back in it. If they get this wrong, this could be event over.
Well, right now they have dropped back to 5th place with Artemis moving up, and that's how it is right now. They would be out of the final by 2 points, but there's still one more race to go. So there's the head-to-head matchup. If you're cheering for either Artemis or the USA, keep an eye on that boat position. Meanwhile, at the top of your screen, look at the Spanish and the Australians just flying down the course at nearly 65 kilometers an hour.
Doesn't look bad for the USA right now, Pete, does it? Looks like they've kind of got far enough away for Sugarloaf, and as you get towards the bottom of the course, if anything, it's a little bit more safe.
Yeah, I think once you clear just a little bit down from the top, then it really starts to settle down. And look at that heli shot before. You really see that big vein of pressure in the centre kind of left. So yeah, you definitely expect the boats taking the right turn to the bottom to take a pretty solid game.
So split course situation. The Spanish off for the left, the Australians off for the right.
Here is not a bad thing. Okay, nice. We've got lefty on the bow. And got any more ride height there, Milk?
Go, interesting. So Ian Jensen has said we've got lefty on the bow. So what he's saying is I think the wind's going to come from a little bit more towards the left-hand side of our screen. Expect the Australian boat to turn left a little bit here, and then that means they can turn the boat and progress straight up the course on a favoured shorter distance effectively. So here we go. Expect a manoeuvre pretty soon as Tash Bryant heads across the boat.
Let's stand by there.
See that sea state just rolling in again through that gap into the bay, making it a little bit more tricky to sail the boat.
Spanish when you cross, Tom?
Yeah. And go.
That's a pretty nice manoeuvre. Right of way with Spain. Middle right of our screen is Spain. Left-hand side there, Australia. They show us first, but they're going to probably have to dip behind the Spanish here. It's going to be a punchy call across. I imagine they'll go behind.
Good, you're good.
You hear Tash Bryant calling out the Spanish.
Oh, wow, aggressive from Spain, Todd.
Right on top of them.
Spain have got to be careful. If Australia can get alongside, they'll be able to push the Spanish up into the wind. Right of way with Australia.
Happy to take it up if you want. Yeah, rolling up.
Aggressive here. Expect Slingsby to be aggressive. Here he goes. He's going to rotate it right up. if Spain can keep clear. Oh, that's surely going to be a protest there. Oh, they pushed the Spanish off the foils. Absolute fair play from Tom Slingsby. It was always going to be aggressive in that situation.
This is the umpires. Penalty Spain, windward boat not keeping clear, go behind Australia.
Little salt in the wound from the Emirates Umpire Studios with Craig Mitchell. It's like they got past it, then off the foils, and of course the penalty issued.
Yeah, and what could be a bigger, longer-term issue here is they're slow and they're not quite in that circle. So Rockwell would have the right of way here. Spain have got to be careful. They're manoeuvring. Got to be sure they're ahead of Rockwell here, or they're going to have to let the Danish inside. Denmark has the right of way.
I'd see the Swedes going super high just to try and touch that zone to own the inside as well. So, plenty to play for here at the top.
USA still showing as 5th right now. We can see them in behind our scores there at the moment. And Artemis absolutely off the foils, parking lot at the top again as the Bonds Flying Roos turn away in first. Just need one good manoeuvre and then they'll be winning another race.
Well, they didn't win a race on day number 1, but they are looking to go back-to-back here on day number 2. 2 races and 2 wins, and it will be the Australians certainly punching their ticket into the final.
Yeah, look at the USA. Oh, 2 holes in, could lose a few places.
Back here.
You can be just boat lengths away from another boat in such different breeze in these conditions. It feels so hectic on board, but you just got to keep a cool head.
Oh, it looked like they were going to opt for that right-hand side again, Pete, and the Americans are just stuck in no man's land.
Yeah, well, I think as soon as you get slow around that right-hand turn, it's just so risky that you'll never get going. And I saw in the first race in the review that the Germans and the British got stuck up there for a long, long time. So I'm sure everyone will be pretty scared of that corner after that.
So the USA dropped back to 7th place. That takes them out of the top 3 for the time being, with Australia and Spain having their own battle out there. But once again, in race number 6, like it was in race 5, the win goes the way of the Bonds Flying Roos, make it 2 for 2 for the Australians on Super Sunday.
Todd, I've got some dramatic news. I've just had Craig Mitchell on the contact to me. Potentially, the Australians have got a little damage from contact with Switzerland. Australia were not in the right of way. That could mean, after an inspection from the tech team, if there is damage to Australia or Switzerland, there could be penalty points coming to Australia.
So it will be Spain that comes into 2nd, Rockwell, Denmark in 3rd, Artemis will be 4th, and we'll wait to hear how these point situation sorts out as the short crews will come on board. Quentin Delapierre and DS Team France will finish in 5th for the time being. Now remember, these are provisional results. We'll have to wait to see if they are official.
Well, we'll see. The big one there, as I look on the left-hand side, USA, they were 5th for most of that race. They just ran out of wind, ran out of luck, maybe, and they've dropped all the way back to 8th, and we've seen how tight these points are. So this last race, well, it's going to be all on.
North Star Canada comes in with one of their better finishes of this regatta as they finish in 6th place.
Yeah, I think the big change since that first race was just how close Italy was to that top 3, and then a really tough race in this race, dropping them right off the back. So I think that race for the final is kind of down to 4 now.
As Butler Brazil, the home team, comes across the line, they will finish in 7th place with US SailGP dropping back to 8th. And to Stevie's point, they gave up 3 positions on the last 2 legs. The Germans will finish in 9th and GBR in 10th. So now we're under 90 seconds to go, and it comes down to this. It will either be the U.S. or the Spanish that will join Artemis and the Bonds Flying Roos. Pete, in this situation, is this just a full send moment? You got nothing to lose?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a full send moment. I mean, even the Aussies and the Swiss are still within range of those 2 boats. So really that kind of top 4 is kind of having to go sail a good race. You've got to keep it clean, keep the boats apart, and I mean, this race course is super tricky, so anything can happen.
All right, Hannah Diamond's going to be crunching the numbers throughout this one. Hannah, does it basically come down to the U.S. has to finish 1 spot ahead of Spain or vice versa?
Well, no, it's a little bit more open than that, but this is definitely a very tricky race course to control any other boat. So if you're behind, you've just got to try and do your best to win the race and see how the cards fall behind you.
All right, the 7th and final fleet race of the Enel Rio Sail Grand Prix is about to get underway as they begin the dance with 35 seconds to go in the shadows of Sugarloaf Mountain.
Yeah, middle of the pack there. We can see here come the Bonds Flying Rouge. He's trying to take a little bit less risk out of it this time, trying to find a way through the whole fleet last time. Well, he's still potentially got a protest pending on him, whether or not he did have contact with the Swiss team. 19 seconds to go. Artemis, right-hand side of our screen. They're coming in late, should be fast at the gun. Right in the middle of the pack again, the starting master Canfield, but is he going to be able to accelerate from there? Switzerland, they look good. Artemis look good, and it's all about hitting the line right. Hey, lining up there, Seb Schneider's coming through the middle. How's your timing? Oh, Artemis Racing are going to be down the road here. What a position for them to be in. Bonds Flying Rouge, they're clean at the top, and the Swiss, they've got a chance to lead at mile 1.
This is the umpires. Penalty France, windward boat not keeping clear. Black flag, you are disqualified.
Oh my goodness!
The umpires have given a black flag, diving in at the top there. Too risky. Oh, Contant de la Pierre, what an end to their regatta here in Rio.
I'm in the boat ahead.
So with the black flag, the French, DST France will have to pull off the course. What was 12 now becomes 11. And what a terrible way for their regatta to end as they will peel away. The Rolex sprint leader, however, at mark number 1, will go the way of the Swiss.
Oh, this race to the final is all on. For the Bonds Flying Rouge and for Artemis fans, well, they look pretty well positioned, the Swiss. Well, they could do with a good one here. Need a nice manoeuvre out of my one. But look, middle of the screen, USA are foiling in the pack. Out the back, Los Gallos have got a lot of work to do if they want to find their way to the final. Look at it right now. They're 1 point out. USA hold that magical spot in the final.
So if it stays like this, it will be the Americans joining Artemis and the Bonds Flying Rouge in the top 3. But Spain still has plenty of time to catch up. Hannah Diamond will crunch those numbers, keep us abreast of what's going on right now out on the course. So it's Artemis, Switzerland, and Australia, 1, 2, and 3.
Coming pressures from the top.
And it's changing all the time with that, coming out of that manoeuvre with some of the boats struggling a little bit out of that jibe. USA are in a bit of a tough position there. They've sort of not got as many options as some of the boats to windward of them, but the Spanish are nice and safe behind them for now.
Yeah, USA need to still get a good result here, though. Remember, they've got to get 4 or 5 boats between themselves and the Spanish, so it's all very well Spain being back. USA can't afford to lose too many places. They show us 5th, probably going to be forced into a right turn at the bottom here. Bonds Flying Rouge have got to watch out for the USA.
Yeah, they definitely went pretty far on that ley line, but now owning the inside on the right. Like same as before, this mark's pretty unfavoured, but I think they're going out to good breeze, and then that'll net out into a pretty good position.
So at gate 2, the DP World Gate, it is still Artemis out in front. The Bonds Flying Rouge slotted in 2nd place. Swiss sit in 3rd, Germany, Deutsche Bank in 4th, and the Americans, all importantly, sitting in 5th place, but they are 6 spots clear of Spain. Hannah, that's probably the combination they're going to need, a top finish, top 5, and some gaps between them and Los Gallos.
Oh, penalty on the USA as well here. They didn't keep clear of the Swiss. Should be a fairly easy penalty here to get rid of. There you go, it's gone already. They just had to let the North Star team get round the outside of them and pass, so not too difficult a penalty at all there. USA still very much in the mix here. Artemis in 2nd, never made a final.
And it'll be up in the park, turning up.
They are a new team, so we'll see what pulls off. They've been very close. Last few events, they finished 4th in Perth. They, of course, 4th again in Auckland, New Zealand.
Where are Los Gallos as well? They must be off the right-hand side of the screen, but have they got themselves space? USA manoeuvre does need to be a good manoeuvre. Looks like they clear Red Bull Italy, and they're sailing to a very dark patch of water. Good move by the USA. There's Los Gallos, bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Here they come. Game on, race on for the final here in Rio.
US in 6th, Los Gallos in 11th place. We'll crunch the numbers. Meanwhile, it is the Bonds Flying Rouge trying to sweep the first 3 races of Sunday, the most important one coming up next, but they would put themselves into the final peak with a lot of momentum.
Yeah, they've definitely been having a good day today, haven't they? But, you know, one thing's for sure, that doesn't mean anything going to the final, and it'll just be whoever can put their best foot forward. But, I mean, this race at the moment between Spain and USA for that final spot's super, super tight, so it'll be whoever gets ahead now.
As we take you on board Mubadala, Brazil, Martini Grail, the home team, not having the regatta they wanted, but they're putting on a great show here as they will, after this race, turn their attention to the next event in Bermuda as we give you the Tim Brazil 5G POV onboard cam.
That, we're right in the cockpit there, Tom. It's unbelievable. You can see left-hand side wing trimmer Jeremy Wilbot was just trimming on the wing there, using all the buttons to keep control there. He dipped behind Rockwell Denmark. They had to keep clear. Well, it's this gate we've seen is absolutely pivotal here in the race. Top of the screen, USA, they've gone to the danger zone up there.
Yes,
bottom right-hand corner of the screen, Los Gallos, they're going to be ahead here. Los Gallos are going to overtake the USA. Risk on, right of way. Well, when they enter that zone, USA is going to be giving space to a lot of boats. If they can stay foiling, USA have still got a chance. But he's got to give room to nearly all these boats coming in as Rockwell Denmark plug it into the water there.
Let's go.
But nowhere for Spain to go.
No, Spain are going to go round the outside here. Remember, they don't have to beat the USA, though, Todd. They've just got to be close. Oh, Botin is rolling the dice.
Oh, big maneuver.
He's going right turn. It's a parking lot on the left turn. If Spain stay on the foils, they'll have done it, I'd have said here. Big call, but he's made some big calls in this time, and they're normally right.
Yeah, it looked like a nice breeze where it's heading to, and, you know, when you're going that fast, you can actually transition a long way through a lull. So, you know, just keep going straight, keep it on the foils, and keep out of that traffic jam on the other side. I think it's a smart move.
So the USA was in 5th and Spain was in 11th, and now as we update that, the USA sit in 7th with Spain in 8th, and Stevie, they may be moving up the ladder. They are indeed now currently sitting in 5th overall.
Yeah, there's a lot of boats to the left-hand side of our screen off of the foils. Bond's Flying Ruse, I mean, they are seriously slick out there today. I think somebody wants to be looking at what they're doing on board, because they're just relentlessly accurate with how they're sailing the boat. Germany, Deutsche Bank, they've done a nice job. Right-hand corner of the screen there, Spain, Los Gallos, in 4th. If they stay foiling, and the numbers say they do, that's going to be them in very good shape. They'll be ahead of the US when we get down to this gate. Well, and if they do that, it's not much race left for the USA to find an overtake.
Pete, is this just a situation of Tom Slingsby's more comfortable in these conditions? Is it the boat configuration? Did they all go out and get 5 good luck cats? How do you explain how well Australia's doing today?
I reckon he's definitely got those cats stuck away somewhere. I mean, we've been talking about it for the last 2 days, haven't we? But he's just been on fire this weekend. And, yeah, I think, to be honest, getting off the start line well and sailing the boat clean. You know, he's been doing the basics well. He's got off the start line well and executed well from there.
Yeah, as you look at Spain now moving up there in the top 3, 6 points clear of the USA, does it come down to that one leg where the USA just got so slow and then opted to go into the traffic jam with everyone else?
I think it's about having the presence of mind. When you see the fleet congesting, if you can separate, split, and take the favoured gate as well, then it puts you in such a good position. So they just managed to avoid the groups of boats are slow, but also find a favoured mark as well.
Do you know what I think, though, as well? I think the USA were a little bit impatient after gate 2. We've seen at this left-hand side of our screen, we've seen all day there's more wind. Sometimes you've just got to follow the boat ahead, make the course wide. That's all Spain did. Spain didn't do anything magic. They had a hard decision to make, but for me, USA had made a bad call by forcing things early on the leg. Sometimes you've got to be patient and wait for the other boats to make the mistake.
It's amazing how sometimes if you have such a bad start, you end up well off the back. You kind of can get a good lane from actually behind other boats. So, you know, they got a really good bottom arc rounding and managed to get a long way up into the left, which really gave them that extra leverage.
Big press out for a foiler.
Well, if the Australians can hold on and win this race, and they are on their way with just 2 legs to go, they would finish on 58 points. That's the most fleet points a team has accumulated since Sydney's season 5 at 63. If Australia finished top 3 this race, 6 top 3 finishes for the Bonds Flying Ruse in this event. What a Sunday, though, for them, Stevie. 3 for 3.
Straight into it.
Yeah, I mean, they've sailed brilliantly, Todd. You know, we left Rio yesterday with Tom Slingsby, to say the least, a little fired up by Chief Umpire Craig Mitchell and his team's decision that he felt a little hard done by. But, oh, big moment on board Artemis here. Big gust of wind, got a little loose, good save. Draper's had to completely unload the wing sheet there, I'd say. The wing went all the way out to save it, but somehow they managed to keep themselves foiling.
Someone's having to do a lot of grinding to get that back up, aren't they? Yeah, really nice work.
But yeah, I feel like the Bonds Flying Ruse, I think maybe it's fired him up. That's how it can go with Tom. I really, when he's on fire, he's not unplayable, but he's very, very good. Look at the breeze here. That right-hand side under Sugarloaf looks good, but the Bonds Flying Ruse, they've just got to take it to the finish here.
They're above at the moment, they're slow.
As they come to the line, they will have to negotiate around Emirates GBR, who are not in the mix right now, and it's a drag race to the finish line. How about this? It will be the Bonds Flying Ruse that cross the line in traffic with Emirates GBR, and the Germans will finish in 2nd.
turning down
Slightly confusing there. Emirates GBR is still trying to race on the upwind leg.
Yep.
What a woeful weekend they've had. Huge here for Artemis, though. This is going to be their first ever final. I mean, Nathan Outridge has been in a couple of finals in his time. So's Chris Draper, so's Andy Maloney. I mean, there's so much experience on that boat. But for Julia Gross, this will be the first final on there. Brad Farrand, you know, Julius at the front. However, they've got that configuration. This is a big moment for Artemis.
And a huge moment for Los Gallos, Spain. Remember, they were purchased earlier this week, so congratulations to them. But they were in 11th place on leg number 2, and they will finish this race in 4th, and that should be enough to get them into the final.
So other than Perth, Hannah, I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying Los Gallos have made the final every time.
Well, I think we've seen how consistent they can be. When they're good, they're really, really good. So I think they're definitely contenders for this final race.
And it will be the Swiss coming in 5th place, so a good showing for Seb Schneider and his crew as they wrap up their week here in Brazil, with Rockwell, Denmark finishing in 6th.
Yeah, I feel Rockwell have had a sort of, you know, a quiet weekend, but it's been a solid weekend. I think a nice sort of stepping stone weekend for them. So happy with how they've gone. You know, they obviously want to be making finals, of course, but tough conditions here. Yeah, exactly. I think they've had a fighting weekend. I think they fought really well, and the overalls, they're going to be right in the mix. USA, a really good weekend for USA as well. They're showing themselves to be, you know, we're disappointed that they're not in a final. Imagine 12 months ago.
Yep.
You know.
So disappointment for Taylor Canfield and company, as they will not return to the final. Remember, they won the event in Sydney just a few weeks ago, but they will miss out here in Brazil.
Okay, exiting this one high as well.
And Martini Grail will bring the Mubadala Brazil team home for the final time. They will finish in 8th place. Their Sunday, probably not what they were hoping for. They finished with an 8th, a 7th, and a 9th. Red Bull Italy showed some serious promise after day number 1 when they won race number 3, but they will finish their regatta in 9th place here on the 7th race.
I think just to relate back to something quickly, Todd, we talked about potentially getting penalty points for Australia. The tech team is still trying to see if there was damage. They're still going to be in the final. They got so many points. Craig Mitchell, even if he gives every penalty point he can, they're still in. So for any Bonds Flying Roos fans, it's going to be Australia, Sweden and Spain in this final here in Rio, and it's going to be some race because there's an awful lot of talent on that race. Of course, if you haven't got an Olympic gold medal, you're not in the race. I think it's really crucial as well in the start that you do now know exactly where the favoured point on the line is. You should, you know, any of these sailors on here have got that ability, as we see here, and we look at the stats. Well, they've been in 52 finals, they've won 16. I mean, that's a lot of experience there, and the Spanish as well. But it would be a first win if Artemis can get it. So let's see how they can go on. It's a massive moment for them.
So you have the team that won the first 3 seasons of SailGP and the Australians. You have the winners of season 4 in Los Gallos, and the newest team on the block, Artemis, out there with a name that's not so new to the sport in Nathan Outridge, an Olympic gold medalist. So here we go, under 2 minutes away. Hannah Diamond, as you look at this course and you look at the conditions, where do you want to be in that start box?
Well, I think they're going to have to make quite a late call because you can see just how patchy the breeze is. And often I think a lot of the teams use the other teams in their run-up to gauge where they should do their turn back to the line. But in the final with only 3 boats, you've got to be really sure on your time and distance and really know what pressure you're sailing into or out of to make sure that you're going to hit the line with speed.
Crazy different tactics here, though. Artemis are in the box really, really early here. They're so far away from the other 2 boats. Bit of a special from Outridge, maybe.
Yeah, it's amazing how often it works out, being that boat that's split away from the other 2. You see 2 in a quite a tight battle fighting it out, and 1 just being able to, you know, come in fast. And you know, the way the boundaries set up around the adrenaline lounge there, you get a lot more space if you go back and up like the Swedes have. So you'll be expecting to see them wind it up for sure.
And we are 1 minute away from the start of the final here at the Enel Rio Sail Grand Prix, part of the Rolex SailGP Championship. A picture-perfect day with an iconic setting. Sugarloaf Mountain in the background, and the 3 best teams on the weekend. The Bonds Flying Roos, Los Gallos of Spain, and Artemis set to do battle.
41 seconds to go, and we can see Artemis are already winding it up at the top end there, all off to the right-hand side of our screen. They have all got a big run-up, but they're going to be needing to get the acceleration right. I think Australia could almost be late tight already. They're going to need a perfect manoeuvre and a quick up on the foils. Artemis look like they will be inside. Middle of the screen's the line. Middle of the start line is the favoured place to be. Look how gusty it is under Sugarloaf as Slingsby starts to line it up. He's looking fast on board the Bonds Flying Rouge. The Rolex pole predictor sits on board that Australian boat. Spain have space. Outeridge and Slingsby are fighting. The line's going to go white when we're ready to race. Oh, he lines it up. How's your timing, Nathan Outeridge? Wobble on board the Spanish boat at the top of the line. Artemis got slow, and it's the Bonds Flying Rouge will lead at Mark 1.
And here comes Spain on the outside. They've got speed, almost dead even across the line as they approach mark number 1. It's NASCAR on water here in Brazil.
Yeah, oh, could be crucial. The Bonds Flying Rouge catch the windward hull if Artemis can overlap. No, they're not. He's bailing out there. Outeridge doesn't think he can dive inside. The Bonds Flying Rouge, they're going to get first pick at this race course.
Yeah, definitely got off the line well, but it feels like there's going to be a lot in this race, doesn't it? One thing's for sure, there'll be plenty of opportunities. So, no, we'll just have to, I'm sure Spain will just be keeping it tight and keeping it back.
Yeah, on the day that is the final round of the Masters, I can't help but think that there is a lot of golf left in this hole in terms of this race course. It's really, really tricky out there.
Okay, reloading here.
So first to maneuver, the Bonds Flying Rouge and Artemis. They go 1 and 2. Keep your eye on Los Gallos, Spain. They currently sit in 3rd place, opting to carry this one a little farther out. As we look at the conditions, Stevie, you see pressure all across this course, but as we've seen in the prior 3 races, there are holes out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. I think we'll hear from Tom Slingsby what's the distance he's hoping to find at the bottom of the course. I think a move back to the right turn does put you in good wind. The left-hand side of our screen has historically been the place to go. Slingsby says there's good pressure left.
It's a even. Yep.
Tricky decision right now. You've got a pick of it.
Left turn.
Left turn. I think if you're not certain of anything, he's going to sail into that big gust of wind. You don't do another manoeuvre, so you guarantee not losing a certain amount of meterage.
Really good gust
Keep
here.
it simple. It's definitely the way to play. You know, if you think everything's even, you think you're going to good pressure, you might as well keep going straight. But yeah,
look at this.
Banish have taken on the other side.
They're up on the inside of us.
So it's the Australians and Artemis 1 and 2, and Diego Motin's going to roll the dice here. Pete, you like this call?
Well, I think he takes a bit of a loss initially to do it. So yeah, it'll have to be interesting to see how much it pays out. But yeah, traditionally today, that left-hand side on the upwind's really been gaining a lot. So I think he has to do something, right?
It's worth a roll of the dice, I think, for me here, really. And like you say, on average, it's been good that way. I think the interesting thing will be, can the boats that have headed off on that side, Australia are up and foiling, so they've stayed in breeze. Artemis are in very good breeze on that right-hand side of our course there. Look at this. Sweden, they've got the most wind on the racetrack right now, so potentially the wind coming the other side of Sugarloaf here, Han.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the angle difference between the 2 boats. Bonds Flying Rouge just coming up and turning to the right a little bit there, but I think the Spanish may have made a little bit of a gain, probably not enough to change the... Oh, I don't know, actually. They're looking like they're going bow forwards there just a little bit as they approach that left-hand boundary.
Yeah, it looks so patchy out there. I don't know if we've got Lisa at the moment, but the breeze looks like it's potentially started to come from the right-hand side of Sugarloaf. So we're going to just see now a gain for Artemis. The Wind Whisperer, he's reading it right at the moment.
So there's the condition right now. There's not much more of a more beautiful setting than this here. The 4th event of the SailGP Season 6, the Enel Rio Sail Grand Prix, and it is all on here in the event final. It is Artemis, it is Australia, and it is Spain as we check in down on the water. Lisa Darmanin, where is the favorable side? Where do you find the pressure?
Oh, the pressure is so high. As you said, there are these little right opportunities coming. We're sitting on the right-hand turn at the moment. There's a big gust, but you know, if you're 50 meters away from another boat, you could be in completely different pressure. So this race is not going to be over till it's over. It is really challenging out here.
It still comes down to the basics as well. Artemis, they had a little bit of a wobble. They almost tried to force the foil. They fell off the foils. There you go. Slingsby didn't make that mistake. What a moment, and it was just come down to handling. Have the Bonds Flying Rouge got the ability to stay on the foils here?
Right now, the Bonds Flying Rouge put themselves in first position. Looks like Nathan Outeridge is going to opt to the other side.
100%. Looks good as well, though, Todd, doesn't it? It's good breeze for Bonds Flying Rouge, but the Los Gallos are foiling here, so Artemis are going to potentially get bounced around a bit. Right of way with Los Gallos. Spain will go back that way. They've got to keep rolling the dice. Artemis here, they haven't got the right of way. go. Diego did the commentary for us. For me, that's an absolute no-brainer foul there. The Artemis crew
This
will
is
have
the umpires.
Yeah.
Penalty Sweden, not giving Mark room, go behind Spain.
A shot at the Emirates umpire studio there. Craig Mitchell, the chief umpire, doling out the penalty to Artemis. That's going to about do them in. And that's great news, Pete, I got to think, for the Bonds Flying Roos and Tom Slingsby.
Yeah, I think that definitely gives the Bonds Flying Roos and Tom and the rest of the crew a good little buffer there, doesn't it? By the time Sweden has to get behind,
good gust here.
behind
Let's get
Spain.
going
So, no, it's
starting
to look like a reasonably easy race for them from here. Touch wood.
First time of the weekend that Tom Slingsby and Craig Mitchell have agreed?
Could be, could be.
Well, it doesn't make up for not winning their home event in Sydney, Australia a few weeks ago, where they did not even make the final. They finished in 5th, but this would be a huge win for them. Remember, the Bonds Flying Roos finished on top at event number 2 back in Auckland. That seems a long time ago, but Tom Slingsby getting that team possibly back to their winning ways if they can bring this home.
Is there a case that you can be too far ahead in this condition?
Happy to roll?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Well, I mean, you know, sometimes you say that where you get like really big lulls and you can get too big of splits, but you know, essentially the course is so short, you're having to go back and forth through the same bit of water, so you can't really generate that much leverage. So, I mean, the further ahead, the easier it's going to be, I think, for me.
We've got a little high mode across here, don't we?
Yep. All right.
Happy to roll it up.
And they all come with us.
There you go, Neil. So I think right now, yeah, it looks like the Spanish have agreed with Peter Burling there, and they've said, let's just make sure we take a second. Think about the whole season. You've got to remember we're racing to Abu Dhabi, aren't we, to that grand final. Every point counts all the way there. So mature sailing, I'd say, from Botín. We heard Ian Jensen, wing trimmer on board Australia. This could be his first win on board that Australian boat. It'll be a massive moment. He's so proud to be back sailing for his home nation. If he can get a win here, I know for Gooby it's going to mean a lot.
Leg 5 of 7, so it's up to the top of the course. They'll turn on the gate, come back down, and then it'll be a quick left-hander to the finish line in front of the crowds there in the beautiful setting that we've got here at the Enel Rio Sail Grand Prix.
Looks super light where they are at the moment, doesn't it? They're really just struggling to keep it up on the foil. You know, got right down to 30 kph through that lull, so it's they need to play full still, to be honest.
For the breeze out on the left.
Looks like they're going to sort of make it simple. They're going to head towards that top left-hand corner of our screen. I got a feeling they were trying to sort of sail an angle close to the gate to keep themselves well lined up then with the boats behind. But yeah, it's definitely, there's opportunity out here, but I think the battle potentially now is for second place. It's going to need a big mistake by the Australians for it to go wrong from here.
That's angle.
Oh, that's pretty perfect.
I tell you what, whatever the pep talk was that Tom Slingsby gave last night and how many cats they got on board, they are doing something right because they've got 3 wins in a row looking to make it 4, Stevie, and winning the most important race of the 8. Yeah, I mean, at the moment it's looking like a perfect scorecard, isn't it? I mean, who would think it's possible to win 4 races on a day like this? I mean, quite incredible, really. But I say I don't believe he's done anything magic. They've just done the basics really, really well, and that's really, really hard to do on a day like today.
What a beautiful place to sail, eh? Just taking a little look in around the scenery under the Sugarloaf. Yeah, pretty fond memories for a lot of these yachties here in this part of water.
Softer. Hold that angle.
So there it is. Australia makes their way around the gate. They keep it clean. Here comes Spain sitting in second.
Here we go. Pressure now. Straight into a jibe out of this.
Sounds pretty calm. They got wind back again. Oh, panic over for the Bonds Flying Roos.
Right there, rolling down. Your wing. Go hard, Sammy.
Not celebrating just yet on board the Bonds Flying Roos.
No, and it's a short leg though. Right-hand side of there's the mark they're going to, the right-hand side of our screen. So Slingsby's gone pretty nice and wide here, made it fairly safe. Spain and Artemis, they follow. And it's all about getting on the foils for that race for second. But Tom Slingsby and his cat are going to get it done here in Rio.
So 4 races in the 2026 season and 2 victories will go the way of the Bonds Flying Roos. Their new owners, Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, and they are just about 200 meters away from closing the deal. What a super Sunday for the Bonds Flying Roos, as they are absolutely perfect. They win races 5, 6, and 7, and when it counts most, they deliver in the event final. The Emirates winning moment goes the way of the Australians. The Bonds Flying Roos reign supreme in Rio.
Well done, guys.
Huge moment there. It could be a Slingsby Samba in Rio tonight, Todd.
Diego Botín smartly will hold on to second place, as that penalty really was the difference, and Los Gallos fresh off that new purchase of their team. They finished second, delivering 9 championship points to their account. And Artemis gets into the final, the newest team in SailGP with Nathan Anders. They finish in third.